This podcast contains some magical adult language. Listener discretion is advised. And sorry, Mom.
I'm going to Disney World. I'm going to...
Whoa! You're not Mickey Mouse, you're a rat.
Rat smack! Besides, they're tourists. What do they know?
Welcome to Rat Castle, a progressive chat about Disney magic without the pixie dust. I am your host, Nathan Hartman, and with me tonight on the show today for you this morning, wherever you're at, is, let's see here, we have Sarah. Hello, Sarah.
Hello.
Victoria, how are you?
Yeah.
That's where Victoria's at. So we're starting strong.
That was real. I felt
And
that.
Dave, yeah, I'm gonna have to leave that whole thing in. Dave, how are you?
I'm currently full of fish and chips is how I'm doing. So.
Ooh, that's so good.
Oh, I love that for you.
That's very good. I am envious. Janine is not with us. She is preparing to move. What's really funny is she is literally moving one apartment over. So, yeah, she is currently.
That's the worst kind of move.
Yes, it's cheaper. It's more space and cheaper somehow. But yeah, so they're moving nigh a yard. So speaking of movie, I wasn't able to be here last episode. I was ill, came down with something. But anyway, some of you, if you follow me online, you've probably seen this news already. But speaking of moving, I am taking the plunge, and I'm leaving Florida here in May. I have a new tenured track position teaching at Salisbury University in Maryland. And I'm very excited about that, but it's a little interesting because, of course, the only thing people have ever asked me since I've said that I'm moving is, how are you going to deal with it? Are you going to be okay not being close to the theme parks? Which is very interesting.
Hershey Park and Kennywood are right there.
I'm about to experience it. You know, there's things to experience, and I'll be very close to. I'm out 2 hours from DC and Baltimore and Philly, and it's gonna be great. So and it's beautiful country, and I'm very excited for that.
Yay.
To be honest,
Congratulations.
Thank you. To be honest, living
Congrats.
between Tampa and Orlando is not fun, to be honest. Like, it's a lot of traffic and it's a little miserable. So it'll be nice. But I wanted to bring that up because the interesting little snag here is that my AP went out 2 days ago. So I only knew I was going to have my AP till like the 24th, which we're recording on the Thursday after. So if that makes sense. And so the last couple weeks have been I would say the last 2-3 weeks, we have done big final trips to all 4 parks and the water park. So it's been interesting. We kind of, we ate out more than we normally would. We got some reservations. We went to Chefs de France and Epcot, and but it was a kind of a bittersweet thing. But I don't know how Dave, you might have experienced this, kind of being close and then going somewhere else for another job or whatever, and maybe some of you guys also. But like the last time too, you sort of realize like you have that feeling of, oh, I'm not going to be able to do this anymore. Which is actually kind of nice because it feels more special too.
Like that 98 to 2000 when I was in Orlando was a very specific time in the parks, and it's a very specific time for me. So it was I mean, but moving to California, I was like, at least I'll have Disneyland and Knott's and Universal. It's not like I'm going away, but it's very different than living near like Epcot, which became our go-to. I think we talked about this last episode. It was our go-to, like, let's go have dinner and a drink and a walk,
So it'll be interesting, but I really appreciate it. I got to take my dad. He came down and we went to Galaxy's Edge. He's a huge, I kind of wore out his VHS tapes for Star Wars. So it was really nice to kind of give back, as it were, and take him around and kind of live vicariously through his wonderment. And I don't know. I was telling my wife, I said, it's kind of like we've been living kind of with the Mona Lisa, and you know, you're gonna love it for a while, and then you're gonna go, well, but I don't really like this paint stroke, and I'm not sure about the frame, and you know, and when you're that close for so long, like things that you know you really should appreciate more get kind of normal. And I'm kind of okay with giving myself some distance and hopefully some perspective. But I'll always feel obscenely blessed to have been able to experience at least we were here 5 years. COVID makes kind of four of just sort of running around wherever I wanted for the most part. So yeah, and you know, to all the friends I've made while I've been here, you know, it's always been great hanging with you in the parks, and I'll be back. You know, you can't keep me away from Disney World, and that does not mean the podcast is ending or anything. You know, Lord knows there's plenty of people who have Disney podcasts and are nowhere near it. But we have Janine's here still, and she can do some on the ground stuff, and I'll be actually very close to Victoria, so she can get me into stuff. I'll be your +1, Victoria. So,
I hate you.
Yeah, no worries. And I bring up Victoria because you're going to lead us off with some Magic Kingdom news. Actually, kind of the biggest news, kinda. I mean, it's more like drama, but what's been going on in the Magic Kingdom, pray tell, recently?
That racist ride closed. I mean, that's really the best way I can describe it. Like,
you know, the nice part is we've reached a point probably in theme park history where that term is a little more specified, because there used to be a lot more racist rides.
It really did.
So we've narrowed it down.
We're getting there. We're getting there, but no. On a serious note, so Splash Mountain did close its doors on the 23rd. It was a lot.
To say the least.
Yeah, I feel like a lot is an understatement.
Did Disneyland's close already?
No, it's not
yet.
Closed till
May.
There's rumor.
Yeah,
it's a rumor for May, but there's I do TA stuff, so I'll be the first to know most likely. But
I'd be very curious to see what the turnout is in California.
Yeah, because it's a lot more cramped over there for their splash. So I'm like,
yeah. And you know, how many of those will be Orange County racists? We'll see.
But yeah, that would be where you would find them. That's for sure.
Yeah. I mean, they are certainly,
you know, and here's the thing. I had somebody come for me on Twitter and, you know, butthurt and telling me that I was sowing racial discord because of what I said. And what I said was, you don't like that the new IP has a Black protagonist. And I'm like, so supporting Tiana and Princess and the Frog is sowing racial discord.
That seems right.
Got it.
Yeah.
That checks notes.
Dave,
that's right. But
I wish I could show you my DMs.
No,
I'm sure.
Yours were insane.
Right.
I don't want to see it. I like my privilege. I'm very comfortable not seeing your DMs.
Like, it was wild.
The thing that I responded to a couple of people going, look, I'm not telling you not to miss the ride.
Sure. Yeah.
You can miss Splash. I miss Splash Mountain. I'm going to miss it. It was fun for its time. I'm going to miss those characters in that song out of context from its history. Yeah. Because that was part of the problem, though, is that Disney sort of like Disney literally cherry picked this colorful thing out of something that was very problematic and never really addressed it. Like I don't know if you guys knew, but they actually produced a DVD that had commentary and an unskippable beginning that was a roundtable discussion with Leonard Maltin and Whoopi Goldberg and a bunch of academics and things, and they scrapped it and they didn't put it out. And I think that's actually kind of not the right answer.
It was a bad call.
They buried it. They never really addressed it.
Right. And so, you know, even with all that we're seeing about Tiana, which is I'm very excited for, it's like it skates. It's still, even with the roundtable they showed for this ride with the new one, right, and with the creative director and everything, they're still sort of skating around the issue, and that's the part that's like, this has been a long time coming. Miss the ride all you want, and I hear you. It was fun, but what it's based on is a problem, and Disney has to address that. And this is how they're addressing it, which is unfortunately not vocally,
And it's not, I mean, the weird thing is like Disney's whole game, especially when it was made, was take a fairy tale thing and Disneyfy it, basically. Like Cinderella doesn't end like Cinderella. I mean, unless you're gonna cut off the bottoms of their feet to fit into the shoes, right? Like all of those fairy tales in their ways have been Disneyfied. And I think you're right. I think the thing here is the problematic aspects were Disneyfied, which means they're catchy. They're fun.
It's true.
Yeah.
Like I didn't even know the Song of the South, like that it existed, or that even Splash Mountain was like based on it until like a few years ago.
That's
so
because they buried it.
It's so buried. So it's like I can understand that some people might not necessarily know the history of the ride, or like not really know what it's based on. But now that you know that history, you know what it's based on, and like we're getting some positive change. Like, why is it so difficult to just like accept?
I have an answer for that.
Things? Well, it's racism, but like
I have a whole answer for that. So
like it's like, don't you want new things in the park? Don't you want like for there to be like innovation and like just something different? Like I don't it just
no, they
like,
don't though. That's the thing. And that's the issue. The issue is people are selfish. And I actually discussed this with a friend the other day. They said that people are selfish. So when you take something away from the parks that affects their childhood, that hurts them. But if it's something like Song of the South that actually hurts another person, they don't care because they more so are thinking about how it's affecting them.
Right.
So they don't care.
But also, where was
it's
this
an empathy
energy
problem
for other rides? Like, where was this energy for all the other rides that have closed down? I feel like that's also another question too.
So I think one of the reasons for that is you have twofold things going on here. I don't think anyone's really that like depressed about Song of the South. Like, oh man, I miss Song of the South. Like, no, I think the ride became its own thing.
Yeah.
Even though, like, I mean, how could it? Right. Well, and how could it not when you? First of all, I always want to stop every conversation about Splash Mountain and go, they should never have made a movie based on or made a ride based on a movie they didn't want out. And I know it was out in the 80s a little bit in theaters and stuff, but like,
that was stupid.
But it wasn't a big hit. I mean, it wasn't like, it's just a strange desire. Like, talk about not having enough IP to like milk from. You get Song of the South, but you know, so you have this thing that gets kind of buried, and then you have the ride. And I think the ride, you know, we always kind of say like, well, it's not that old, like, and it's not. It's like our age, right? And the thing about it being our age is our generation is looking at it and saying like, this was our ride. Like, this is the one that came like when it was open, when we, you know, it was our second trip and it was the new ride. And like, there's something I think about that too. I'm putting that on a nostalgia shelf when I think the racism shelf is still bigger than that shelf.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think that the racism shelf is sitting on top of the nostalgia shelf and it's supporting it. So,
and that was what the case of the film for years, and why it was re-released in the 80s, is that it was held up as one of the core animation pieces from a very rare time in history for the studio in the 40s. And so, but that's again sitting on a shelf full of racism. So it's like it's one of those things where I think both things can be true, where no, we shouldn't show it anymore. No, there shouldn't be rides based on it. But we also shouldn't do what Disney's done, which is shove it under the carpet and pretend it doesn't exist. And I think there's a chance for this to be a teaching moment. Like, they could take that thing that they've made for the DVD without the movie, right? Just the discussion and clips, and put it on Disney Plus as an educational thing, right?
I think that would be to though.
Yeah, they are. They are.
I mean, like Disney's they're cowards. They've always been, like, for a very long time they've been cowards. Like, they just don't, anything that could possibly like, you know, I mean, I think that's kind of the thing about Disney in general, though. Like, do you remember when they started to try to talk shit on Twitter, like, and kind of be like Universal, and everyone was like, no.
So hard.
Stay in your lane. Stay in your lane.
Like, stay in your lane because you're swerving too much on the road. Like,
right. And I think like any wide turn, if Disney tries to make it, whether it's that kind of thing or actually addressing their past or any of it, it all feels awkward coming from them, because they really are this massive corporate monolith that has sort of pasted on top of itself a semi history of its creator that is kind of a mix, right? So it would be weird for them to, if they have to address that, that's going to open kind of a gate.
But it just
Yeah.
makes
But I
it
mean-
feel icky, like that
Sure.
they're kind of pushing like all the Princess and the Frog stuff if they're not addressing that, because now
You're
it just feels like damage
Right.
control. It just feels, it doesn't feel like it's coming from a good place, but rather from a, oh, I got to cover this up before people see like the past that I've done. So it's like
Yeah.
overcompensating.
Why have that inclusion key at all then? Because I was already skeptical of them adding that key to begin with because they did it during the George Floyd riots.
Mhm.
Right.
So I was already skeptical.
Yeah.
And the
So
ride
why-
was also
like
announced
the-
during that too.
Like to Sarah's point, like why even do that then? If you're
Right.
gonna not be afraid to make those changes. I mean, you can obviously like reach out to certain groups like the NAACP and all that stuff if you truly want to do like the idea, like Dave said,
Mhm.
and have that
Yeah.
roundtable discussion. But you know, at
I mean,
the end
it's
of the day,
They already have it. That's the crazy
Yeah.
part. Just release what you have.
right?
Like,
Yeah, it supposedly, like I had a friend who worked on that DVD, and I've heard about it, but I'd never actually seen it. But that you know, and it's just again, it's Disney sort of having their cake and eating it too. They introduced
Right.
the inclusion key. They talk about their programming moving forward in history.
yeah.
You know, making history by being more inclusive and telling authentic stories. And there's this one from your past that you're not really addressing. And it's like
Yeah.
two things can be true, Disney. And even if the audience for this isn't the general public, even if it's like, make this available for academia, right?
Sure.
Like,
100%.
'cause
Yeah.
I agree with that.
it's just but the problem is 90. No, I'm not going to say that much. There's a percentage of your audience
Right.
who it not only doesn't know this history, has replaced in their head any history that they didn't know with the nostalgia that they have for the ride, and they're the people digging their heels in. And I think a percentage of those people don't want to know the truth and don't want to dig into their
Yeah.
country's history.
Well,
know?
and you get a group that makes this massive point that, you know, if you were to ask them, they would say that like there was Song of the South and then Roots and then Black Panther. Like those are the three things black people made, and they're all three the most important things, right?
Okay.
I can't breathe.
Because
No,
they
you're
skip
not wrong.
because they skip like they treat it so important, like it's this big deal, right? You would think that they want to, like, I don't know, put it in the Smithsonian National Museum of African American History and Culture. Like that's the way they treat, like they talk about
They
like,
really
oh,
do.
you know, the Oscar that he won, he didn't win the Oscar, they gave it to him because, well, like he couldn't go to the premiere, so like let's chill, right?
Patty
Like
McDaniel couldn't even go in to get her damn award. Like, what-
right,
Yeah.
like the Black
Mhm.
History excuse. And
yeah,
I'm just like, Black
I
people
know.
are telling you
right.
it's
Yeah.
not okay. And you're like,
Yeah.
but you're erasing the history.
And
Like,
frankly, the only place that should get to screen Song of the South and have a conversation is the National Museum of American History and Culture. Like that's
Correct.
That's
Correct.
it. That's the only place. And there
Only
shouldn't
place.
be there shouldn't be a white person on that stage. Like it, like there's a conversation to be had, but Disney
then
is
there's
not
the-
going to offer it for that.
Then there's
Yeah.
that idiot that we both block on Twitter, that Epcot dude who had the hottest of hottest takes, that he
What's
said
that?
that it's okay. Oh God. He was like,
I
in
blocked so
Disneyland,
many
I
of
can
them, I
understand.
don't know.
He's like, in Disneyland, I can understand it, but this erasure of
Yeah.
Black culture in the South is unforgivable.
Not
Yes,
the
he did say that.
erasure.
You're
Ugh.
Lord.
not this, not this.
Yeah, Walt
Sometimes people
Shapiro
need to
really
stay in
was
their
out and
lane.
about on Twitter during that whole
Ugh.
thing.
It's
Go
just
Walt
the
Shapiro.
think pieces that came out, and all of a sudden everybody was a cultural
Man,
consultant.
The
Like
And
I
a-
just
a scholar.
should have stayed
Yeah.
in the drafts of that brain because
It's
what
not
the
even just
fuck
the-
were people saying?
it's not even that. It's what the fuck were people doing on the day of that the ride closed that I think is just insane. Having memorials
Bruh,
and
don't get me
dressing in
started.
black and mourning this ride. Like, can we be serious for a second? Like, I just felt
Can
like
you
that
get a
was
grip?
It was terrible. And this is again a generation that was raised on the Song of the South sing-along VHS tape that was
100%.
just the songs,
Yep.
right?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
nothing else. And that stupid Splash Mountain rap that they made when the ride opened that we've all seen.
The
That's
rap.
terrible.
I do like the
You know
rap.
what's-
I do
You know
like
what's
the rap.
crazy though? We're gonna have
Huh.
to go through this one more time.
No, I don't
Oh,
think
yeah.
it's going to be the same. I don't
I
think
don't
you
think
can't.
Disneyland will be the same.
California can't match Florida crazy. There's just no way around it. Like there's
just-
you know.
I don't
Yeah.
think people here are going to care as much.
No, because I
No,
think
I'm not
here there's
saying
the
like it's
difference
gonna
of like.
be.
Mhm.
It's a culture difference. I was just saying we have to go through it one more
Oh,
time
on
and watch it
Twitter
Oh,
for
on
sure.
Twitter.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, on
yes.
Twitter, not
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
there.
I just like to
Disneyland
remind
is
people
chill.
it's in Tokyo. It's not changing. It's there.
Right? I
You
said
can
that,
go.
but then I was like, you have xenophobic people that's not going to take that flight. So
Do you know that like you know that meme where the two buttons and the guy sweating? It's like go ride Splash Mountain, but have to do it with Japanese. Like that's the two buttons they're sweating over.
Please make
Yeah.
that. Please make that. Please make that.
I know. I
Make
need
that
to see
meme.
it.
I will add it to my agenda.
yeah.
Well, should we even talk about the grifting? I think there's some good grifting that has also occurred.
Oof.
I saw a GoFundMe page that like
Oh.
raised money.
For what?
Yeah.
Figure out where
I
the
don't even
money's
know what
going,
it was
though.
to save Splash Mountain, but like what was the money for? I don't know what the money was for, but they like raised I think like around $200. Their goal was like 5,000.
Can I just say a lot of these ideas were so stupid that it was actually low key kind of genius? Like selling Splash Mountain water
Yeah, let's talk
for
about that.
$2,000. I wish I did that.
2,000?
Somebody has it up for $2,000, and I'm like, damn,
Yeah.
that's so damn stupid. I should have did that.
I mean, I
There's
don't
a
think it's going to
sucker born every
sell,
minute. I
but
don't think it's going to sell, but a sucker is also born every minute, Nathan.
you're absolutely correct. You know, I mean, I'm over here looking at my actual leaf from the Tree of Life, and I'm like, man, that's
The
my
leaf?
retirement,
What?
isn't it?
How did you get
Where'd
a
you
leaf?
get a leaf?
Oh, you don't know that story?
No.
Yeah, I have it in a nice little case. I did it legally. I literally there
Oh,
was a
okay.
big storm, and I took a walk after the storm underneath the tree, and it was just on the ground, and I picked it
Okay.
up.
That's fair.
So finders keepers, I suppose.
Finders
But
keepers.
that's like you know, having legitimate stuff. That's okay, let's try that instead.
Well, Nathan, I hear you have a essay to read for the group.
Oh, I do. Yes. Let's do that before we get into an essay to read. So the one thing that my favorite article online, and this is going to take more time, but it's 100% worth it.
It's worth it.
This is from clickhole.com. And this is from September 23rd in 2016, to give you an idea how long ago this was. It has no author because I would love to give the author credit. But Clickhole, if you don't know, is sort of the, I don't know how to put it, sort of the Onion. I think it might be connected to the Onion. I don't remember, but it's the BuzzFeed version of Onion. And they have an article here, which I'm going to try to read without crying because I laugh really hard every time I read this. And we're just doing this in honor
to follow along.
Yeah, you can look this up. Just type in Clickhole Splash Mountain and you'll find it. This is, of course, in we'll say in honor of Splash Mountain. We'll say in honor of Splash Mountain. This is our goodbye to Splash Mountain. This article is titled 5 times the animatronic 5 times the animatronic fox on Splash Mountain addressed me by name and told me he was going to marry my dad. So I recently went on vacation to Disney World with my family. It was a lot of fun until I went on Splash Mountain. There was a lot of animatronic animals on that ride that sing and dance before you go over a big drop at the end. And although most of these robotic animals are wonderful to watch as you float down the river, there was an animatronic fox that started addressing me by name halfway through the ride. He told me that he was going to marry my dad. He did this 5 times. Number 1. The time the animatronic fox made eye contact with me. I was riding Splash Mountain and the animatronic fox was doing his pre-programmed speech about how he wanted to catch the animatronic rabbit. And the fox said, "Now's our chance to set a trap for Brer Rabbit." Then it turned and looked at me right in the eyes and said, "I'm gonna marry your dad, Ryan." Then the fox leaned in real close to my face, which I'm pretty sure it was not programmed to do. And he said, "Call me Mrs. Dad, Ryan. I'm going to be your dad's bride at his wedding." Before he could say anything else, I was floated away from him to enjoy the rest of the magic of Splash Mountain. The second time. The time the animatronic fox kept talking about how long the wedding would take when he married my dad. The big drop at the end of Splash Mountain was so fun that I decided to get back in line and ride it again. I was having a blast listening to all the robotic animals sing and move around until the animatronic fox once again turned to me as I floated past. It started to say, "You sure done made a fool of yourself, Brer Bear," but But about halfway through the line, he trailed off, turned around, and said, "Welcome back, Ryan. I'm gonna marry your religious dad, and the wedding is gonna take forever. Everyone's gonna talk so slow, and your dad and I are gonna kiss 100 times. Your dad is gonna get down on his knees and thank Christ for making the wedding making his wedding to the robot fox take so long." I tried to tell the robotic fox that I didn't want this to happen, but I had already floated away from him.
The length is weirdly specific. Like
Yes.
That's very specific.
Yes. Third time. The time the animatronic fox told me that he was going to wear my clothes when he married my dad. I decided not to go on Splash Mountain anymore, but then I remembered how fun the big drop at the end was, and I got back in line. I was hoping the animatronic fox would just do his clockwork movements and pre-recorded lines, but instead, he popped up out of the water in the middle of the ride and said, "Your dad is my fiance, Ryan. I'm gonna wear your shirts and your pants when I marry your dad. Your dad's gonna wear a wedding dress, and we're gonna be bonded in the eyes of Christ. Enjoy the rest of Splash Mountain, Ryan." After the ride, I told the Disney World employee working the line what had happened, and he just said, that sounds bad. But he didn't do it.
He was
Number
not for the
4.
BS
Sucks
today.
to suck.
Yeah.
I mean, CMs don't get paid enough.
Yeah, he's
So
like,
the
I'm gonna
time-
clock out.
Yeah, exactly. Number 4, the time the fox's voice came out of the animatronic goose. I just couldn't stay away from that incredible drop at the end of Splash Mountain, so I got right back in line. There is an animatronic goose on Splash Mountain who mostly sings and babbles about being careful on rivers. Well, one time when I was floating past the goose, it stopped singing, swiveled on its metal hinges to face me, and said to me in the fox's voice, "Ryan, it's me. It's the fox. I'm gonna marry the ever-loving shit out of your religious dad. Listen to me, Ryan. Our wedding will not have any refreshments. Guests will be permitted to bring one bowl of warm water from home, but that's it. Once I marry your dad, I'm gonna become a huge part of your life. Have fun on the big drop." Then the goose's voice returned to normal, and it sang a song about fishing. I do not want to attend a wedding where there is no food, especially since the fox said it was also going to be very long. Number 5, the time the animatronic model of my dad appeared next to the fox. I had promised myself I would never ride Splash Mountain again. But on the last day of vacation, the siren song of the Big Fun Drop lured me back into the den of the Clockwork Fox and his wet carnival of torment. When I got to the animatronic fox, he was standing next to an animatronic model of my father, which sparked and sputtered as he moved back and forth in repetitive motion. My logboat stopped right at the scene, which it hadn't done at any other times before, and the animatronic fox started saying things like, "Hello, Ryan, your dad and I are going to be each other's wives, and you'll have to watch me marry your dad through the window of the church because you're not allowed inside, Ryan." Then the animatronic model of my dad said, "I love marrying the fox more than I love having a son," and then it burst into flames. As the ride finally lurched forward on the river, I floated away from the horrific scene. The fox called after me, "I'll see you and your real dad at the wedding, Ryan." I tried to call back, "Please don't do this," but my voice was drowned out by the sound of the robot porcupine singing about the dangers of being foolhardy. So that is the 5 times the animatronic fox on Splash Mountain addressed me by my name
This is why the ride needs to go down.
and told me he was going to marry my dad.
I mean,
like, I commend whoever wrote this, because each one of those paragraphs, just as its own, would have been an article. Like,
Yeah,
the repetition is so ridiculous. But I'll tell you, I do like the addition of the Southern twang for the voice of the fox.
Yes.
In my headcanon, I had always read it Southern voice for the fox, but when he's talking to the guy, it was basically Jeremy Irons' Scar. It was
okay.
He'd turn on heel and go, "Hello, Ryan.
Hello, Ryan.
Your dad and I are going to be each other's wives," right? Like, that was going on in my head.
I just like the whole deliverance aspect of it. I wanted to keep pushing that out. So
that whole thing was a journey.
Yeah, it is. And I think we can all agree that decades of racism that led to a ride was totally worth that article. Moving on.
Yep.
So, and other things that are driving this Twitter insane, would you believe it's signs?
I would. It is frequently.
I would.
Same. So Epcot is currently going through an era, and unfortunately for
Did
some,
you say era or error?
yes. So
Okay.
no, era. I'm sorry.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure. I'd agree
But,
probably either way, but
so there's new Epcot parking lot names. So as we know them, they're like Discover, Create, Explore, Wonder, Journey, Amaze, Imagine, based on like, old Epcot. But we are so woke at Disney now. So so woke here. So now they're gonna have characters on the signs instead of like, those names that we have come to know. So it's gonna be, let me see, Crush, Dory, Rocket, Gamora, Wally, Moana, and Hey Hey. Fairly not crazy. They're using their IP, and apparently that is the end of the world. I'm so sorry.
Why is this a problem?
Girl, I don't know. That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Like, I thought it was gonna be a thing. Like, what's the deal?
They are heated about it. I
just-
don't know why.
Just people again, they don't like change.
yeah.
All
I mean,
right.
all the other stuff going on, you'd imagine this would occur. I mean,
Facts.
I'm going to be the hot take and say I always hated the parking names for Epcot because they were kind of impossible to remember unless you were like a diehard fan.
unless you were
Like-
in Explore 69. We lost Explore 69, which I think is
We
the
did.
biggest problem here.
That is the biggest loss.
Now
I
it's
will
Rocket
say-
69.
Yeah, I don't want a 69 Rocket. I have no issue issue
No,
with that.
nor do
Like,
I.
I'm not yucking
You
anyone's
don't?
yum, but no, I
You
don't want
a 69 Rocket? I find him
No.
attractive.
Saying you're
to be
not
and
a
honest.
it's not,
furry?
and he's not a rock.
Bradley
Not
Cooper.
A raccoon. It's not.
Oh yeah.
Wait, is it bestiality to fuck Rocket? Is that? I mean,
How do
I'm
we
gonna say
not
no.
hear?
No, he's an alien, so I would say no.
Yeah.
no.
Yeah, I'm gonna say no
I mean,
Okay.
because he stands on 2 feet.
Okay. All right.
So that's my criteria.
Is that your
that
rule?
was your reasoning?
I'm trying to justify my attraction to Rocket, y'all.
So you could
Sarah's
so I-
rule is if it stands on 2 feet, it's fair game.
I mean,
so a velociraptor is fair game, is what you're saying,
I mean,
basically.
if you can catch it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Clever girl.
If it don't catch you first.
Clever girl.
I mean, I don't see anything wrong with the signs. It's going to be easier for people to remember because it's IP characters. I mean, it's not for diehard fans.
I did predictably see the disgusting garbage person hot take that, well, nobody likes Gamora. Why would you use that? And it's like,
Oh, I didn't
fuck
see
you.
her.
Yeah.
Well,
I saw that.
I here's what I would say about that. I think it's weird that it's not Groot. I don't know why it's Gamora.
Yeah.
Yeah, why would
But-
it be
Yeah.
Rocket and Gamora? I'm not
Like,
mad at it, but I'm like,
no, I'm not mad at it. But
Groot
it's-
would have made more
random.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the thing is it's just weird to be like, and Gamora. It's so funny too, because they're like, here's Gamora. And I'm going, you still have not brought Gamora out. Like there is no meet and greet with Gamora. There's never been a meet and greet that was on that concept art with Gamora. So
there is in California. They haven't had her there.
They have not had Groot here. They've not had Gamora here.
oh,
Those have been
at Disney World. I
no,
mean, they
at
had
Epcot.
Gamora.
No, it's never happened.
No, they had
Yeah.
them at one point in that show.
No,
You
not
can't meet.
But no, yeah, you can't meet him though. Yeah, they had him in
Oh
the
yeah,
show.
you can't meet them, but you can't.
Well, they never had
yeah.
Groot
They had the
here.
little street show. No.
Well, they had that show they did a couple years ago at the Epcot Theater at the American Pavilion, which was like hits, and they were like, it was kind of cute. It was kind of
I liked
fun.
it.
But yeah, you couldn't meet
it's-
Star-Lord or anything from there. You could only ever meet Star-Lord and Groot and Baby. It was Baby Groot at Hollywood
Oh
Studios. It was the only
yeah,
time.
that's right.
It's
I
also
forgot.
loosely like space and Earth, right? Rocket,
is-
Gamora,
yeah.
Wally.
Which is like
Crush Dory,
villains
Hey,
and
Hey, Moana.
right? Which is like villains and heroes at Magic
Mhm.
Kingdom. It's fine. Like
Yeah.
I get the desire to do this 100%. I don't know why. The only issue I had was I saw when I finally went for my last day at Epcot. These were all done, and you could see that there were new signs placed, but the old signs were still there, and they sort of just pasted like the thing on top of it. And I was like, you better change those out
Oh.
eventually. Like that's got to happen because that's grody. But beyond that, it's fine. It works. That's the only thing I was mad about. But I don't know. I think it's funny when people are like, I agree kind of with where's Figment. I don't have an issue with that. I kind of say you could put Figment in here, but of course it's not land or space. I get that.
I mean, did
But
the general public know Figment beyond the bucket thing?
but you
That's my
can get a
thing.
you can I mean
You
he
can
has
get
his
away with it
has
though.
his own ride. I mean like
I mean, it's not good though, Nathan. Let's
no,
be
it's not good, but there's a whole ride and it's with Figment, you know, like you can get away with that. I just think it's funny when people are like, you know, I want one to be I'm trying to think of an example here. Ham and egg and ham from Canned Chicken Cabaret. And I'm like, so do I, but like that doesn't
I mean,
exist. Yeah. This is
oh
weird.
Lord.
People are funny. So I want it to be Robot and Bird from the so that's a very old reference.
That's a super old The Bird and the Robot. Yeah, yeah.
Robot, yeah.
I don't even know that one. Holy shit.
Me neither.
That was a
just smile and nod, Victoria.
World of Motion.
World of
right?
Motion.
World
of Motion. In the I don't know what they called that room, the showcase room
Oh
at the
Lord.
end.
It was
Yeah, there was
great.
Okay,
It was a
Grandpa
show about
Joe,
robotics. It was explaining. It was explaining. It was explaining industrial robotics to like a 1970s and 80s audience.
Yeah, like they had the like pre-KUKA arm sort of thing.
Yeah.
Oh, that was probably the shit back then.
Yeah.
It was cool. It was one
Yeah,
of the best shows in Epcot.
It was a
loved
bird.
yeah.
It was the traditional kind of tiki room bird, and he said Boyd like that, and he was like, I gotta show you off this robot. And it was kind of a cute show. You can watch it online. It's still available.
It's
anyway,
online. It's cute.
Get your shit together, people. It's fine. Let's talk about Figment though for a second though, because my last trip was the Festival of the Arts. I did get to go do Festival of the Arts.
Not farts.
Yay!
Not farts, arts. And so I wanted to do a little review. It's Festival of Arts is my favorite. I love Festival of the Arts. I spend way too much money at Festival of the Arts every year. I got several small postcard size stuff. Every year I get the Dave Perello like 4-pack of new attraction posters.
Cool.
And I'm gonna get them all framed. And then I bought a big Raiders of the Lost Ark. They had a whole corner of Indiana Jones art this year. I think everyone knows the new movie's coming because there was a lot. But the food was fun. You know, a lot of the stuff people liked before. But the really cool thing is the Figment's Inspiration Station, which took over the Odyssey. So if you go to the Odyssey now, of course, that was where the preview center for all the Epcot stuff that never happened was. And they finally got rid of all that. And now they have this really cute Figment Inspiration Station area. And it's got most of the Wonderground Gallery art in it. And then they brought back the old tables, the old I guess they're like, I don't know what to call them, pin tables. They're like, you know, you put your hand in it and all the pins move on the other side.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
And they have huge kind of like pool table size versions of that. And those were, I guess, from the original exit from A Journey to Imagination. So they refurbed those and brought those back. And there's even a Figment from the Figment with his paintbrush and his art kit from Journey that they've refreshed and brought back, and it's kind of in there, but it's all neon rainbows, and there's a Dreamfinder's balloon goes by, and it's really cute, and it really kind of pays homage to the original ride. So it's worth seeing if you have the opportunity to. They even have art or not art, but projections of Figment that were originally used for ImageWorks. That they've kind of reused, and they kind of pop up in different areas and sort of do their little thing. So they really there's a lot of love in it. And I would really recommend that. So Festival of the Arts, it was a lot of fun. Figment's area is great. A really cool thing is outside of the Inspiration Station is a bubble machine, but the bubble machine isn't just a bubble machine. I don't know if anyone's ever seen this before. I never had before in my life. It's bubbles with, I guess, steam in it or some form of
oh, those are cool.
smoke.
Yeah.
And so you pop it and it goes poof and it makes a little, and so I sat there for a good 10 minutes just popping bubbles. And everybody would come by.
Should.
Yeah. And people were just coming by and going, oh my gosh, there's steam in it. Like it was a legitimate surprise to lots of people. And it kind of had that like, oh, this is the fun stuff. You know, this is the stuff that people really like. This is what they remember. So Festival of the Arts. It's great. I love it. Lots of good art this year. It's well thought out. lots of extra space, especially with the Odyssey not being used for other purposes. So the only thing I miss, my heart still misses this. Several years ago when they did Festival of the Arts, they had actual lectures in the Odyssey.
Oh.
So,
Oh yeah, I remember
yeah,
that.
Don Hahn was there.
I
And
wish those.
yeah, they had a guy come and talk about animatronics, and they showed footage of Sir from Alien Encounter. It was all the test footage.
Yeah.
So it was clean, crisp, almost HD footage of Sir, like the whole routine. And you're like, thank God someone has that. And yeah, I missed that aspect. And it was always full. There was always people checking out those things. I really miss that. I hope they bring it back. I'm sure it's sort of a, I don't know if it's a highlight for them or not anymore, but it should be. It felt very Epcot to have some people there in residency, kind of for the festival, as it were. But yeah, there you go. That's Epcot Festival of the Arts. There was one other thing people are signing at Epcot Festival of the Arts. Victoria, tell us about this. It's not a picture; it's a doll that you can get at Festival of the Arts and get signed.
Yes, and I will be getting 2 of them. I don't care what it takes, but so Disney, for I guess it's for their for Black History Month, I believe. They basically collaborated with Creative Soul Photography. So for those who don't know, I'm sure you've seen it. They're like prints of these little Black girls in African inspired outfits based on Disney princesses. They worked with them to create 4 dolls that are based on Cinderella, Rapunzel, Snow White, and Tiana. They're gonna be on Shop Disney February 3rd, I believe.
Right.
Yes, February 3rd. And I know the photographers are gonna be at Festival of the Arts signing prints of the original photos that they did the February 3rd to the 5th. And they are just very
The photos are gorgeous. They're so
gorgeous.
great.
I
mean, the dolls are
the skin tones on the dolls are just impressive on its own.
Yeah.
And the hair texture too, and like the different hairstyles.
So Victoria, I'm assuming Tiana is one of them you're getting.
Yes.
What's the other one?
Snow White.
Okay. Oh, it's very beautiful.
And evidently the dresses are all sort of representative of the various African diaspora, right? Like it's
yes, that is correct.
Yeah, that is so cool. My favorite is the Rapunzel one. That one is just fire.
The Rapunzel one is gorgeous.
So good. They're really, really pretty. And it's great because it's the doll's amazing, but then they did these incredible photos with models sort of restyling them as a real person. And they're really, really lovely.
Yeah. Yeah. More of this stuff, Disney. This is fun.
Yes.
I like this. I think this has been an interesting year. I was at Target the other day and they had some, Barbie had some new dolls out for Black History Month, but they also had some like, more kind of, I don't know how to put it. They were not Barbie dolls. They were more like plush dolls of different people and different things. And I thought this is so neat, and it's so good to see that kind of representation. So good on Disney. As much as we're kind of Splash Mountain-y boo, but at the same time, there are things like this which kind of bring things to light, which I love. Let's get into some drama. Let's talk about Victoria. Let's end talking about Walt Disney World with one of our favorite places at Walt Disney World.
Oh yeah, it's the return of the coffee shop. So we have come back full circle to the carousel coffee shop debacle. God, our community is just so trash.
Yeah.
So I do recall a article a while ago where Josh D'Amaro stated that he does in fact listen to the Disney community, and I'm guessing this is an example of it, because the big complaint about the coffee shop was that it was bland. Like it was very just like corporate Whole Foods. So they addressed the guest complaints.
Kind of mean to Whole Foods, to be honest, but yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Anywho. So so they added more framed ride photos. They added like vintage photos of Julie Andrews. I believe it's like from when the park or Magic Kingdom first opened. They added some succulents to the tables to give it, a little bit of spice.
The pictures work
that's
for
about
me.
it.
The pictures work
for me.
The problem here is the succulents. The succulents feel very much like I just opened a coffee shop. It
I
literally
hate the succulents though, but I'm also a plant bitch, so
yeah.
I just want to know what Furniture Avenue they went to last minute to pick up all these chairs, because
Right.
it just feels like
Wait, are those new
so
chairs too?
yeah.
Oh, the chairs are new?
Well,
I
the
didn't
whole
know that.
setup is it not like this
Oh.
whole like this the
Well,
tables
the
and
whole
the
you're
chairs.
correct. Like, yeah, we kind of talked in a previous
Yeah,
episode
yeah.
about
Oh,
all
okay.
of
I
it.
see.
But
Yeah,
you're
Yeah.
it's all
You're right.
new. Yeah, new as in clearance
Like they
from
added
West Elm.
it.
Yeah,
but
they got those on Wayfair, I'm pretty sure.
No, for sure. Along with the
no,
little
I mean
succulent.
they're actually. I mean, the chairs are kind of tasteful. I like the curved wood back. None of that is offensive. It's just like
Just boring.
I mean,
it's just boring. But did they really do it because people complain? Like the headline to this made me question. They did it because of guest complaints. Come on.
I think
that's what it said.
This is classic Disney though at this point, and they really need to learn. Everything's got to be 100% done when you do it. Don't open something when it's
I think
when
it's
75% done. Like don't.
I think it's that.
Except for the
we all know
succulents.
that furniture is like coming late for everybody. So
right, but the succulents, that's not a back order thing. That might be something that was added.
No, the succulents were picked up from the Home Depot day up.
Look, y'all gonna stop hating on the succulents. They're
no,
fine.
I like the succulents. I just think it's weird. It's just a weird
it's ridiculous.
touch.
Yeah,
it really is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Please stop saying succulents. Please stop saying succulents. It's making me very uncomfortable.
Yeah, that's our the one that needs the fainting couch on this episode is certainly Dave Cobb. That's how it always
succulents.
Oh,
now I'm doing it in a succulent. Sean Connery's succulent.
The word just sounds wrong now. I don't know.
See,
Miss Moneypenny, I bought you a succulent, Miss Moneypenny. Come over here for your succulent. All right. Hot shot. Moving on. Let's go to the West Coast. Sarah, what do you got for us?
The West Coast. Okay, so as of recording this, we're a day before the Disney 100th, so that's super exciting. Tomorrow will be the first day that Disneyland will be having like all of its celebrations. And
do we get to celebrate it over here at all, or is this gonna be you all?
Y'all have reached your budget with like.
I mean, technically, they said after the 50th we're gonna get something, but
sure.
Sure. That's what I'm like. I'm like, sure.
You're gonna paint all the gold statues silver.
I think that's what it's gonna be.
Yeah,
really.
I mean, we get that thing at Epcot, but other than that, that's the only thing I know of.
Sorry, continue. I'm sorry. I'm being
it's okay. It's okay. So
He's
there's
being a
like a
hater.
bunch of medallions that are being put around. I saw a lot of them over the week at downtown Disney. And they're just like 100th medallions. They're just like really big silver coins. They're very beautiful. And there are banners being hung around the resort, which I absolutely do not like. I said they look like CDs to me on Main Street. Personally, they look like DVDs, like in CDs.
Like half CDs, yeah.
Yeah, I don't really like it, but
right, this is my first time seeing them. I was trying to be surprised, but
yeah. So those are being hung up. Also, the castle has gotten some really cool new features on there. They also have the banners, and we finally have the fountains. They're working.
Fountains look great.
The
They're
fountains
beautiful.
look. Not the people hating on the taco bar just talking about they like fountains. Don't make me sick.
I'm just saying.
I like the fountains. All right. So yeah, that's it's really exciting to finally see the 100th kind of coming into Disneyland, and there's going to be some awesome shows that will be featured tomorrow as well. Wondrous Journeys, as well as World of Color 1. Yeah. And Runaway Railway will be opening up tomorrow.
No, sorry, you will be at Runaway Railway, and we're going to do a full.
Yes. Hopefully, if I get a boarding pass.
Fingers crossed. But are you going to do the fireworks shows and stuff too? I'm
going to try to. Yeah, I want to. Yeah.
Cool. So
I'm going to see the fireworks
show on location.
I believe in you.
We're going to try, y'all. They said we got to be there at 7 a.m. to get those boarding passes.
That sounds familiar. I remember those days.
Girl, you might as well just suck it up and get a lightning lane. That's what I'm doing.
I don't know if they have them on the first day.
Maybe
if they do, I will.
No, they don't. Not on the first day.
Yeah, I even tried to I don't know. I tried even to be like, oh, you guys have DOS for this, and they're like, nope, you gotta like.
I know.
I do it like everybody else.
I asked about that when I registered. They were like, no, and I was like, well, damn.
Do the medallions look better in person? Because every photo I see looks super flat.
Yeah.
No, it's actually I like them. They looked kind of stupid in the pictures, but
they don't photograph well.
They don't, but in person they actually look really cool. and they do stand out, and like they stand out, but at the same time they blend in.
Sure.
So it's not like really weird
Okay.
looking. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Y'all got
Sorry,
beautiful monorail wrap.
That
like,
monorail wrap looks.
Is it for us?
That's
Oh,
y'all's.
Oh
yeah.
shoot! Look at us! Look at
You
Disney
should
World.
see
Not Disney
it.
Like
World,
I
It's a-
saw
Disneyland.
it go over the water, and I was like,
Yep.
"Holy shit! It looks
Oh, wow.
gorgeous."
Yeah, I posted it and I put it over in Walt Disney World, and I put our 50th wrap for it was like one at the front
Man.
car. You should check out, if you want to see that video, go ahead and check out my Twitter. It's over the kind of close to the Matterhorn, like over the lake, and it's, oh boy, it's really pretty. It's
so
full
pretty.
on. It's a full on wrap.
It's holographic.
It's
like-
holographic. It's gorgeous.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Oh my god! Oh, okay. I'm gonna write that
Wait.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
You saw the brouhaha about the misquote from Walt, right?
Yes.
Correct.
That
Yeah.
I
was
did not see that. What did they misquote?
So on the Mickey statue, and then on some of the bunting banners out in downtown Disney, it uses the quote, "It all started with a mouse," and that's not the full quote. The
No.
full quote is, "It was all started with a mouse."
Well, I mean, they only got so much banner space.
I know, it's one word, folks. It's the sentiment remains. I people were saying it's anyway. Again,
I mean,
people
the
complain at
only
everything.
Only thing I saw was they got some years wrong on some attractions. Like I saw somebody was like pissed about Matterhorn.
Some of the
being the wrong year.
1955. They said that Matterhorn opened in 1955.
Yes, that was. I saw that one too. That's
okay. That's
was
pretty
hilarious.
egregious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was
Too
just
much.
like, y'all just be grateful
Yeah.
it's still there. Like, my God.
Facts.
I would say this though, they have a horrid record when it comes to this stuff recently. Like whether it's dates or quotes. I mean, I still shouldn't see "If you can dream it, you can do it" on anything.
Yeah,
I should not
anything, right?
Anything.
Not a thing.
Real side note story. I've had a student who did a speech on Walt Disney, and he began with that quote, and I was like, "Whoops!"
Ooh, F. Failed.
You done did a whoopsie,
Nathan is
and you picked the
nicer than
wrong
that.
professor to try this on.
I see Nathan giving him a D.
I
he
was
deserved to fail.
nicer than that. I was nicer. Than that. I don't expect everyone to be stupid, dumb about this kind of stuff.
Okay.
But Sarah, we should
Yeah.
talk about another sign. We were talking about Epcot signs earlier.
Yes. So Toontown is also they just got a new sign for the entrance. So that was really, really cool. Each letter represents a different character that is in Toontown. I have one gripe with this. I feel like Roger Rabbit should have got a character. Personally, but that's okay. But the sign in person looks super, super cool. I absolutely love it. It's very vibrant, very colorful, very pretty. But yeah,
It seems messy from photos. It just seems hard.
Yeah,
to...
I was gonna ask you that because
in person is better.
Okay.
In person it's better. Okay.
In person, yeah. A lot of the stuff in person is better. Like it's not a lot of it is photographing well, which is very interesting because we live in the Instagram age.
Yeah.
You would think that would be the very first thing that would come to mind, but
you would think.
yeah.
Are the
but it
small
fits.
signs new, or are those old and refurbed?
Small signs? Which ones?
Yeah, there's a couple new small signs.
Oh, yeah. I'm not sure.
So we
They
have
look
like
new.
Mouse Ear Society and the WJW.
Yeah.
My favorite is
Hysterical
Toontown
Society.
Hysterical Society,
Yeah.
which is I would put that on a
Sign
shirt.
me up. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
Hysterical has been my last 2 weeks. Yo.
But it's a lot better in person. So just,
Okay.
Yeah.
I had some concerns. I actually asked a friend of mine about readability for kids because there's certain things
That was my
you
concern as well.
should and shouldn't do. Yeah, for emergent readers is the issue, and we
That's a good
used to deal
point.
with this all the time with museums and stuff. But she wasn't so hard on it. She's like, there are issues with it for in terms of color blindness is one issue, but
That was my
anyway,
first concern was colorblind.
I'll see when I see it.
Yeah, it is
It's
busy.
not terrible.
Yeah,
It's very
It
busy.
seems
Yeah.
too busy, but
It is Toontown.
if you say in person, it's fine. I believe you.
I think in person it's better because of the outlining. The outlining's pretty bold, so
Oh,
you
yeah.
can spot that out pretty easily. But
I feel
it
like half
didn't
our
seem
news.
overwhelming.
I feel like half our news represents me. Like I'm better in person too. Like, don't look at my photo. Like I'm better. I'm better. I'm prettier in person.
No.
I promise. I promise. Yeah. So that's cool. But let's go inside. And you're gonna give us a full rundown.
Oh yeah.
Next
Yes,
time.
I am so excited for this.
Me too.
So I
Excited.
can't wait, and I can't wait to also compare it to well, okay, first of all, new photos of Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway at Toontown were released. We saw some queue photos, which the queue just looks amazing.
They
So
stuck their
good.
foot in that queue. Let me
They
tell you.
did, and the posters that they have up are so just like amazing. Like my favorite one was the High School musical. No, what was it? It was like
High School Gooficle.
Gooficle. Yeah, 3. That one was good. And then the
I like the
Chipmunk track.
Musketeer.
That one was good.
Oh, the Chipmunk
Oh, the
track was so
Mouseketeer.
cute.
Yeah.
Mouseketeer.
That
I'd hang that on my
Mouseketeer
wall.
I hang that
And-
on my wall so hard.
I want all
As
of
the-
them. They're so good.
The kid, as the kids say today, this queue eats.
Yeah.
This whole thing just eats.
It eats. Yeah, it
It
definitely
eats.
ate.
Read the title of this.
Yes,
I
it
just
eats.
look at Dave trying to be hip.
Dave was always hip.
Oh, come on. I'm the old man. But like I saw these pop out on Scott Gustin's feed and was like jaw down to my knees because I've been on
Yep.
Runaway Railway in Florida. And to me, there was an interesting comment online. Somebody's like, this feels like this was designed for Florida, but they ran out of space in the queue and they needed more queuing in that building. But because this is greenfield and all new construction, they could do it. I don't know if that's true, but man, it would benefit Florida to add all of this because it really adds so much to the
because the
theme.
stories are slightly different, aren't they?
I think they're the same.
Well,
Are
Are
they
they?
not?
I
I
know
thought the queue
up
was the only
to-
thing that was
I know
different.
this Runaway Railway has like two additional scenes, I believe.
Oh, I
Yeah.
have no idea about that. But I think I think it's just the theater aesthetic. I think you're both going into a theater and seeing a show, but this one is going to be in a cartoon theater.
Interesting.
And then you get to go, I guess it's less about, I mean, you're going into the cartoon, but you're already, that is a weird difference in the sense that, and I wonder how they're going to address it if they address it at all. The cool thing about, spoilers, the cool thing about Hollywood Studios is it's all realistic and then you go through the screen and it's all cartoon.
And it's cartoon. Yeah, okay.
Because you're going in the cartoon.
Yeah.
But the thing about Toontown is it's Toontown. So it's one of those things where I'm not sure if it's going to be translate the same
That's
way.
a good. It's funny. I didn't think about that until you just said that. That's very interesting. That
Yeah.
if you're in
I
Toontown,
agree.
you're already in a cartoon. Like I get it. Well, it's you know what? That's probably why they leaned more into the idea that the queue is the history of Toontown's hometown theater.
Mhm.
So and what is premiered there, I guess. Yeah, because in Toontown, you could go through the screen and it just all happens for real after that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
It's still a
have you
cartoon,
guys
but for realsy.
have you guys seen the photo of the facade? I feel like it just beautiful. It's
It's
so
really
colorful and vibrant. And like
Oh, have you seen it at night though?
I haven't.
Mm.
I
Night,
didn't even
it
know-
looks sick.
Oh
Yeah,
my gosh.
I
I also love that they called it the El Capitan Theater.
Mhm.
Yes.
I know, it's so cute.
Yeah.
I'm
I
so
love
excited.
it.
Yeah.
I have my friend Henry had mentioned in the past. This was his sort of talking point, and I agree with it. They should have always just made this exact thing that they're doing in Disneyland, but they should have done it in Animation Courtyard here at Hollywood Studios, and then you could treat it like you're going into the studio to see artwork made, and you could have this stuff as being part of the cartoons they made in the studio, and then the show is the same. So you're going into a screening room to watch a short, which I thought, yeah, then you don't lose Great Movie Ride, which makes total sense. Because the thing about seeing something like this is then you kind of look at there's not enough room in Great Movie Ride's queue for any of this at all.
It's really
Yeah.
not. And they were only working with the space that they had. So that's why I'm like not really bugging about the difference
Yeah.
in the queues because Disneyland built theirs essentially from scratch. Like I think they
Yeah.
took parking lots and stuff. But then
Mhm.
I actually just had a thought. Do you think they kind of did overkill with the queue because of the changes they're doing to Toontown?
Like, what do you mean?
Because it's it's like more open spaces. They're kind of like all that stuff. They took away the Roger Rabbit fountain, and people are pissed.
Well, I feel like it fits in with have you ever been inside Mickey's house?
Oh
in
yeah,
Toontown?
Yeah.
yeah, and that's
like
what I was saying. Like it fits
It fits
that.
in. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
but is it like compensating for what they took away, I guess?
I mean, that's fine.
Well, I
that
think
works
that,
for me.
I mean, it works for
and
me
that land's
too.
going to get that land is going to get a lot more people in it. So that queue is, I bet, just massive.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna take a good nap on that grass. Let me tell you.
Well, and I think that grass is also like extra stroller parking, if I remember correctly, because there's already stroller parking there.
I hope not.
I don't think always, but I think on the big days you'll see more
on big days.
Most
Yeah,
likely.
on big days it will. Yeah,
I
most
just
likely.
see that as like a great place for children to just burn off that energy and run
Exactly.
around.
And I feel like wasn't that the whole point of making Toon, like take kind of
Well,
putting these
yeah.
grass patches
I mean,
as making it but like more kid friendly?
Yeah.
It's not just that. It's also the use case of that place is parents and or grandparents sitting around while the kids play. And so it's a place to do that. Like that, there's a whole bunch of discussion on people criticizing that little patch of green that it's, budget cuts. And I'm like, trust me, it is not. That was fought for. They fought to keep that. I guarantee you. Because every other, you go to any other park, especially in Europe, if you go to like Tivoli or, most other theme parks in the world have places that are a park where you can sit. Like in the multitudes of exit polling I ever did on parks and attractions for work, there's always a bunch of people that write in, what would you like in the park? And there's always people that say more seating. I want to sit down.
Yeah.
There's never enough. And so I think it's a little plain looking, but I think it will get very, very, very used more than people think it will.
Yeah, and things look a lot. I'm losing my voice for some reason, but things look a lot less plain looking when you fill it with people. So I don't think we'll ever see that place look like that in real life.
Yeah.
So less of a problem. Sarah, why don't we go back to Orlando, but let's talk some Universal news. Speaking of cartoon areas and their changes.
This is kind of sad. So in Universal Studios Orlando, the Kids Zone area has closed. And it had a couple of IPs there. It had Curious George Goes to Town, DreamWorks Destination, Woody Woodpecker's Nut House Coaster, and Five L's Playland. So that's kind of sad. I mean, when I was there, I'm gonna be honest, I walked through it, but it's not for me. It's for the children.
Right,
so
it's for the kids.
It's for the kids, and I think Universal has a really big problem with not having enough kid areas. So it's kind of sad they're getting rid of this.
They're addressing it though. At least I think. Now this is just word on the street. They said they're gonna turn it into something Trolls. That whole area.
That's what I would. That's my money's on Trolls.
My money's on Trolls as well. But someone else said. It was like some obscure like DreamWorks thing they saw on like the construction wall that I wouldn't even have thought of. I can't remember it now.
I'm not gonna get it, but I just want a full bikini bottom. I just want it. Like no one's ever made it. I just want it. And you already have.
I designed so many of those for Paramount Parks. I'll have to show you. We did a indoor wild mouse that was themed to the driving school episode.
Oh my gosh, so good.
And at the end of the ride, the final break zone at the end, you hit Mrs. Puffs, and she, why SpongeBob? Why?
Do you guys remember the racing game that was like based off of the driving school?
Yes, I had it. I
loved it.
So DreamWorks Destination, for those who don't know, was Barney for far longer than DreamWorks Destination. So R.I.P. Barney.
R.I.P.
But
Barney.
Fievel, man, talk about holding in. I loved Fievel growing up. Fievel Goes West was one of my favorite movies. I played the Super Nintendo video game all the time. But it's insane that Fievel is still in Universal till now. It's crazy.
I was kind of shook. Like they held on to him for a while.
Yeah,
that giant tiger puppet was so good.
That was cool.
Really, really great.
Man, it's a cool area. I'm excited for what they're doing. I have one story about Woody Woodpecker's Nut House Coaster, which is it's the only time in a theme park I've ever had to use a dad voice. I was in line.
Dad voice.
So some parents just let their kids get in line. And they were in front of me, and they jumped the fence. There was an electrical box, on the left, it wasn't like they weren't in danger of the ride, but there was an electrical box, and they jumped went underneath the thing. I don't think it wasn't drastic. It was like going under the whatchamacallit, the chain or whatever. And they started opening this electrical box, and I immediately went, "Hey!" And I don't. Not a voice I knew I had in me, but I immediately was like, you're not allowed back there. Get back over here. And these kids were like, yes, sir. And I was like, oh, okay. I have that power.
It's like, get your ass back over there right now.
That's
Nathan,
when I
your
like.
dad voice is my teacher voice.
That's a good dad voice.
Yeah.
That's also when I like to pull out this one. You can only see this on camera, not for a listening audience, but
Not the glasses.
Putting those glasses
Not the
down.
glasses.
putting those glasses down. That looking over the glasses like that. It's that I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed look.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's the worst.
No,
It's
I
the
hate
worst.
that.
It was just, and they were good until they rode, but it was just one of those moments where I was like, I really don't. The kids can sit on railings. I don't really care. Like if you bust your head, it's not my problem. But I was like, you're not going to electrocute yourself in front of me. Like, what are you doing?
You were looking out for them.
Yeah. So I had to pull out my dad voice on Woody Woodpecker's Nuthouse Coaster.
Yeah.
So
we thank you for your service.
Yeah, I saved a child's life, so take that. Yeah, so let's move over to Hollywood for Universal.
Yeah, I'm excited
because we got some serious news. We have one of us on this panel has went and explored Super Mario Land, and Sarah's super jealous because it's not her.
Very, very.
Dave, tell us about
Yeah.
Super Mario Land.
Okay, so I mean, the TLDR of all of it is it's wonderful. It's it is as good as the pictures look. You walk into it, and it's bigger than I expected it to be and taller than I expected it to be. The sight lines in that park are a nightmare, but they managed to very cleverly, when you're right in the sweet spot in most of the land, you can't see the Comcast Tower because it's hidden behind Bowser's Castle. Like, it's very clever that way. The people that are criticizing that you do see the rest of the world, fuck off. It's this park just doesn't have flat land like
they're on the side
Orlando
of a goddamn
does.
Mountain. Like,
Right. The fact that they got those sight lines for Hogwarts so good is because they put it in the highest point of the park and aimed it towards the sky. You know what I mean? So anyway, it's but it's really pretty. The sound, this music and sound in the land is really well done and really well tuned. It follows you around and it never feels too loud, but it's very energetic. Just the public space out in the middle, there are these little toadstool seating areas for parents to sit on while the kids run around and play with their power-up bands. It is beyond charming. It is so great.
I saw the banana peel wet floor signs.
I know.
Yes,
which
that's cool.
Which are funny though, because you can actually, those are off the shelf.
Yeah,
that was a very clever purchase by somebody at Universal because it fits. It's very clever. So yeah, I got a power band. I played all the most of the interactive areas. I got my 3 keys. I did the Bowser Jr. challenge. All of that is really top notch. Like, this is, quite frankly, this is Universal whipping their dick out and saying, all right, Disney, what are you doing next? Because Bounty Hunters got nothing on this, right? Like, Bounty Hunters is fun, but just the fact that Universal gamified it enough to have you get little stickers on your phone, on an app in your phone, and there's different challenges, and you can see what all the challenges are. Like, the repeatability of this land is off the charts.
How much
is
is
the
the
power
power
and play it all the time?
You
Yeah, how much is
put it
the
on your Switch?
how much is the band in comparison to the Magic Plus band?
Isn't it like $40?
Like $40. Yeah, it's like $40.
Similar,
but
similar.
Yeah, I wish it was less.
One minor complaint about that is that they don't actually fasten like a Magic Band. They're like a slap bracelet, or like an old 90s slap bracelet.
Yeah.
And when you're punching things, mine got loose and fell off a couple times. But
there are now also Magic Bands that are slap bracelets, so that's interesting.
Oh, okay.
They beat them to that.
My one, we went and ate at Toad's, and the food was actually really great.
Good.
The pesto Luigi pesto chicken sandwich was quite lovely. The Mount Beanpole layer cake was fantastic. The menu is obviously a little different than, it has a lot of crossover with Japan, but there's a lot of stuff in Japan that just wouldn't fly here, like cream of mushroom soup and that kind of thing. So overall, a solid A. Like, the whole thing is just lovely. I really want to go back, but let's get into the details of 2 minor quibbles.
Okay.
One minor quibble about the game, about the park-wide, the land-wide game, the interactive game, is that it's really fun. It is pretty repeatable. It's about a third or 2/3 of, or about half of what's in Japan. There's a whole section in Japan that's called the underground, which has all these, it's this little cavern. And if you've seen the video, it's very, very cool. They just didn't have the space. So it's not, this isn't a complaint. It's just a comment like, well, it's too bad they didn't have the space in Hollywood. And they really don't. Like that park.
But they will in Epic. There's no way they won't have it in Epic.
And they will, right. They'll have it all in Epic, which is fine. And Epic will get the Donkey Kong coaster too. So
good.
Yeah, where Hollywood, there's just nowhere to put that unless they get rid of more sound stages, which, you know, maybe they will. There's been rumors that they're going to move the front lot to a new plot of land next door to the studio, and then pave over a bunch of the sound. But that has been in works for decades, and it's never happened. So I doubt it. It is something that they could add that if they found space for it, like get rid of the Panda Express next door, which would be my bet, and just my vote would be nuke that thing and put in the underground, put in more game. So the game is good, whereas Japan's was, to me on video, Japan's was very great. So, but it didn't detract. I just got to a point where I'd done all of it, and I went, oh, where's the underground? I guess they didn't do it here. Sure. Then you have Mario Kart. The queue is amazing. It's not quite as in depth as the one in Japan. That there are more rooms and bigger indoor queue than Japan. There's also a part of the queue that's not in Japan. There's this underground area where you're in this UV mushroom crystalline cave. I don't know what game it's from, but it's the first part of the queue that you go through, and that's not. I don't think that's in Japan at all. And then you get to the Mario Kart AR ride. And so, you know, if you guys didn't know, I put out a big screed on Twitter back in March 2021 when people were complaining about it not being fast when they watched the videos, right? And I had this very long sit down, children, and you must be taught, and not to school anybody, but the truth is, I've tried to do fast rides with interactivity. I have mocked up laser tag guns on family coasters, like Gadgets Go Coaster style, to try to. We did a Nickelodeon test for Paramount Parks where we tried to do a splat coaster where you shot splat targets as you went through, and it was a simple overskin. So we did a mock-up. I bought a bunch of laser tag guns at a toy store and brought them to the park. It does not work because you can't aim, especially for little kids. Then you put in the factor of people holding a plastic thing in their face and they're being thrown around. They're smacking each other with the guns. Yeah. Like speed, you have to pick one, speed or interactivity. Right. And then some people said, well, you know, they should have had a fast moment. And I argue, no, asking people to stop playing the game in the middle of an interactive ride doesn't work. We almost ran into that problem in Men in Black, but we fixed it by making it a focal thing about shooting the other car, right? So so that's and the other problem is speed equals distance and size. And that's about, you're taking the budget and you're spreading it across with less scenery across more space that you're not seeing for very long, right? So, and then the number one reason that it isn't fast is, and they picked interactivity over speed, is the Nintendo brand represents the pinnacle and gold standard of gameplay of all sorts. If you fail at the game, you fail at Nintendo branding. It can't. Nintendo is not about speed. Yes, Mario Kart has speed elements, but in reality, it's not. It's about gameplay and strategy.
That's true. Right? That's very true.
So when you get to that on the game, my one criticism of it as a ride is that the first time you ride it, it is overwhelming and chaotic. There's so much going on, right? And it took me a while to kind of grok what was happening. I came off it going, wow, that was something. Let's do it again. And the second time I wrote it, I really, really, really enjoyed it because I understood what was coming. I understood the difference between what was happening in the game in AR versus what was happening in the actual rooms. Sure. The AR is better than I expected it to be. It is not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but the fact that Universal did this is a massive, massive swing, right? And so I'm giving it props for being the first and being as good as it is, even though it's not perfect. But that is a technology that will get better as the ride ages. They'll upgrade components. They can, they can tweak things. By the time it gets to Epic, it might even be. And I've heard the one here is better than Japan. Epic will probably be better than this. But they take some big swings. There are AR characters in stereo 3D space because your AR is a left and right eye, like 3D glasses.
Right.
There are animated video game characters sitting on pieces of the set that are occluded by the set. So that they're like standing behind a wall, and in AR space, they're just a graphic from like the waist up, but there's a piece of scenery in front of them. And yeah, the AR, it jitters a little. The lineup isn't perfect every time, but man, it's a clever idea. Yeah. The other thing about AR, just because I've been working in AR now for 2.5 years, one of the big issues with it is peripheral vision. You don't really, a lot of the AR headsets have like a box in front of you that you see. It doesn't fully cover you like VR because you're dealing with basically a reflected image. It's like, it's basically Pepper's Ghost for your face is the way to think of it, right?
Yeah, 100%.
So, but the way Universal sort of, they hang a lantern on that actually, because you aim with your head. So there's buttons on the steering wheel to fire the shells, but you aim by moving your head around. And so you focus less on peripheral and more, I need to turn my head to find every target. And they come into view as you move. And so you sort of forgive the fact that they kind of fall off the edge of your peripheral because that's not where you're focusing anyway. Right. It's fairly clever that way. Huh. But the part that's overwhelming that was a negative for my first ride, but will be a huge positive for every time thereafter. We rode it 3 times, is that every time I go now, I pick up a little more strategy and I get the game better, just like a Nintendo game. Yeah. And you will get better at this ride the more you ride it, and you get more stickers and higher coins and more coins and higher points and higher score. So it's a very gratifying ride when you finally figure out the multiple game mechanics, because there's a lot, right? There's 2 primary mechanics, steering and shooting, right? Yeah. Shooting shells, which you turn when you head. You got to pick up the magic boxes to get those, just like in the game. And then the secondary mechanic is your steering wheel. And it's a dark ride on a track, so you're not actually steering. But what happens is you'll see little arrows pop in your peripheral, like a red arrow that goes on left and right. And if everybody on the vehicle turns their steering wheel the same direction at the same time on that timing, you all get more coins. Okay. Everybody gets individual coins for doing it. If all 4 of you do it correctly, the whole car gets like 100 more coins. So that's the second mechanic. And then the other one, or the first mechanic, and the second one is shooting around. So it's like patting your head and rubbing your stomach the first time you ride it. Yeah. It's a lot. It's a lot. And I almost thought, I don't know. And then I wrote it again. I was like, no, that's great. I love it.
Okay. I'm glad it works that second. There is I don't know. I feel like a trend currently between that and Runaway Railway and maybe even Rise, where especially Falcon, there's it's like it's best on third ride kind of vibe. I don't know what it is about new rides and sort of how they're kind of like they just kind of wash over people the first couple times. And I feel like that wasn't the case ages ago, but I think Falcon for sure. It's like interactivity, right? It's like the moment you ask people to do stuff while also viewing a thing, it just immediately becomes more complicated. So
I think it's because all of those rides are like just sensory overload.
I should add Web Slingers to that too. I think Web Slingers is a great example of that kind of sensory overload. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good point. It's like,
may I ask a question?
Yeah.
So what's up with the seating arrangement on Mario Kart?
Like for big booties?
Oh, you're fine. It's way more forgiving than I expected it to be. I thought it was going to be like Secret Life of Pets, and it's not. Secret Life of Pets is okay. There's a whole reason that Secret Life of Pets has the lap bar problem, and it's related to that. It's also the Yoshi ride, and somebody was asleep at the wheel when they installed it here, and ops found out too late, and that's why. I mean, that's the inside scoop that I got from people there. So maybe they'll fix it later, maybe they won't. This one, I'm I'm 5'11", 270, and I'm fine. I got a big old belly, and it's snug, but it's not uncomfortable.
So what about for tall people then?
I don't think it'll be a problem because it's one of those restraints that goes sort of on top of your legs more than it does into your belly.
Okay.
Like some of the B&M non-looping coasters have like this restraint that sort of sits on top of your legs. Yeah. It's more that because the thing you pull down also has your steering wheel and speakers and a spot for the visor to sit. Man, so it's this big console in front of you that you pull down over your lap. There's something very clever there too. Like when you put on the AR thing, there's a level at the beginning that sort of trains you how to look and shoot. And when you look, it's a training level, just like a game. When you look down at your steering wheel, you see your number of shells and number of coins as like a little digital readout, but you don't see it. You have to look down to see it. It's not in your view while you're playing. Yeah, it's very clever.
I do worry about because when you say things about how the ride gets better with time, like if you I just know it's going to be so incredibly busy. Like this is the first park that we're going to get the first park that we're going to get like this in the States, and there's going to be so many people that want to go for it that they might not get that second or third ride within their visit, especially when it comes to the Universal parks. It's not like Disney parks, especially here, like Universal Orlando does not have a lot of that AP culture, so you don't visit it that often.
And you're right, that is a risk. I think it's pretty overwhelming the first time you ride it. But I think if you know that going in and know that it is from a game perspective, it is a non-fail game. You can't lose. And you always come out with coins, right? In your account, that it's again, my big concern going in is like, will the ride portion of it suffer if the game is too confusing or I don't play it? And so my third ride, I actually didn't really play at all. And I just looked at the scenery, which is amazing. And it's the best blending of mapped projection and scenery I've ever seen, because there were times when I couldn't tell what was real and what wasn't. And that third ride, I didn't really play it. I shot a couple of shells, but I didn't really do any of the steering or anything. I still got a bunch of coins. I didn't get very much, but I got enough to be like, that was worth riding. So that's a tough call. I think there are going to be people who ride it who go, I didn't like that. There's too much going on. It's a 2-hour wait. I didn't get enough out of it. There are people that are going to say that. I think that is somewhat true of a lot of attractions. I think Rise falls into that. Like there's so much going on. Yeah. To your point, Nathan. But it is a risk, Sarah. I think that's a very, very good point. And it is something that I thought about. I think that will be more of a problem with an older non-gaming audience. But I think that parents, millennial parents who've been playing these games and their kids who play even more complicated games now, I think it's an audience that's more primed for this. But that is a risk. That is a risk. And I'd be very interested to see what kind of commentary you get from non-gaming people, from an older audience.
Well, they know what they're getting into. I mean, they walked into the freaking land. Like
true.
Like they know. I think the IP is strong enough that they know what is going on. At least, like they understand that the kind of gamification of video games. So that's all. The interesting thing I think for Epic is I think Mario Kart isn't going to have to suffer the initial reviews as hard, because we're going to have a physical coaster that also is sort of available, which if you need that tangible connection, you're going to get it. You're not going to get it in Mario Kart. And I mean, the fact that Hollywood doesn't even have Yoshi, not that Yoshi is really anything besides a really slow kid ride, but it's just tangible. It's having more things that are tangible. And that's interesting. I haven't really watched much on the ride because once you get into it, you're like, this doesn't look good from a video perspective. You really have to just be there.
You have to be there.
You have to be there. You have to be there. And again, the AR is not perfect, but it is from a technology standpoint, it's a massive swing.
Yep.
And the fact that it works as well as it does and feels, it's not an overlay. It is actually telling you a lot of the story of what's happening in terms of Mario and Bowser sort of jockeying for first place, and Yoshi telling you to keep up and things. There's there's a lot to the AR that I didn't expect. It's a lot more complicated than I thought it would be. I thought it would just be shooting gallery basically, and it's not. It's a lot going on.
I saw a picture.
I mean, go ahead.
Go ahead. Finish. Go ahead.
I was going to say, as somebody who lives literally 10 minutes from that park and has a pass, this is the kind of thing that I'm going to go over on my lunch break, and I'm going to go play, right? And I'm going to go early in the morning and get my morning coffee at Universal Hollywood and ride the ride, and then go home and go to work. Like I really look forward to that. And when you look at the app and you look at like on one night and 3 rides and doing most of the land interactives, I had maybe only 10, 12 of the stickers filled out. And so then I start pushing all the other stickers to see what comes up of what the challenge is. It's like, oh man, I got to come back. Like
we're going to have ourselves
the completest
a Mushroom Kingdom defender, as it were.
The collector in me wants all of it. I actually think they should turn into like real stickers too, or shareable online that you can, like, imagine if they made iMessage sticker packs for iOS.
Oh, that would be so cute.
Oh, just wait
you got by accomplishment.
At some point, they're going to have Amiibo connectivity that you can bring into the park. I'm sure.
We didn't even talk. I got one more thing. We didn't talk about Bowser Jr. So when you finish 3 of the keys in the land, you get to go into Bowser Jr. Challenge, which is like a boss level, basically. But I cannot understate how important this is for an industry thing. There's an entire attraction that is gated by accomplishment.
Yeah.
Think about that for a minute. You can't go on this attraction. It's not a ride. It's a little interactive show.
Accomplishment,
you can't go into this attraction.
Purchased. You have to purchase something for that accomplishment.
Yes,
exactly. Not saying that the purchase means you get the accomplishment, but you have to purchase something to do the accomplishment.
It's like 2 gates to get to it.
Yeah. Which is, from a business and experience standpoint, in my opinion, both genius. Because there was a mystery. There were people came up to us while we were waiting in line. What's this? Oh, it's the Bowser. Oh, where's the line start? And we were like, do you have the 3 keys yet? We're like, no, what do you mean? And you explain it to him. So it became a lot like Wand Magic, where people were helping each other out and telling them what the tricks are, you know? And it's a very simple show. It's 12 people standing in a half circle looking at a big projection wall. You see yourself as a shadow, but then you get to basically jump up and punch things, duck down out of the way of Bullet Bill, catch fire flowers and shoot flame balls with your hands, or eat a mushroom and get and get really big, or get hit and go and get really small. So it's literally playing as a Mario character, but it's really your silhouette. You see yourself in the game. You don't see your face. You don't see a picture. It's just a black silhouette, but it is ridiculously fun. It is such a great ending to that whole interactive part of the land. It's so good.
Final question. I saw a picture of you and your husband with the Bowser statue. Bowser, hot or not?
Hot.
Always hot.
Hot.
Bowser is a zaddy. So
Bowser's a zaddy, and makes me realize I'm probably a closet furry.
Thank you, because when we were talking about Rocket earlier, you guys were coming for me. And I don't think it was.
No, that's true.
No,
I shouldn't have been.
I see you.
Okay, all right, Dave. We always see each other.
Shouldn't have been, because Dave's wanting a Tanuki suit. So like, I shouldn't have. I
want one so bad.
Yeah. Well, let us leave the Mushroom Kingdom. And Sarah, why don't we talk a little bit about Hong Kong before we end up talking about the Disney company and move on to Dave's stuff? There's just one piece of news from Hong Kong that is frustratingly like amazing enough that we have to talk about it.
The Asian parks are just always doing it right. So I don't know if you guys saw a few months ago, we saw the Elsa animatronic without the projection face. Yes. So she has finally made her appearance over at the Frozen Ever After in Hong Kong Disney. And she looks fantastic. Like
I'm
in motion.
Now.
We got to
this
see
is my
her
first
whole
time
thing.
seeing it.
Yeah, she looks amazing. I don't know how they did this. It's so fluid and
how did
realistic.
They do this?
The mouth is still a little to me, but that's
She's
whatever.
blinking.
You go by so quick. that
it's beautiful.
Yeah, but she
I
looks.
mean,
She
in
just looks so fluid.
comparison, jeez Louise.
I'm gonna have a hot take on that though.
Ooh.
All right.
Okay.
I don't hate the projected faces. I really don't. And the thing is, they don't photograph or video well. So I actually think in person they look pretty great.
I disagree.
You don't like them?
No, I don't.
The shadows are a little weird on them, but otherwise
you have to
okay.
have perfect lighting for it to work.
Yeah.
I think they work excellent on Seven Dwarfs. I think
on the dwarfs. Yes,
Seven Dwarfs
agreed.
looks great.
Their heads are weird enough and expressive enough that it totally leaves Uncanny Valley. Whereas when you have them in this form, like to project their head has to basically be a mannequin, and so it comes too close to like human figure. Where if you look at the Elsa in Hong Kong here, her face is more pumpkin-y than it is like the normal opal sort of silhouette that you get in a mannequin, and because that matches her in the animation. And I feel like it that's my only thing. I think the more exaggerated it is, it works. It works for Lemire in Enchanted Tales with Bale. There's examples where it works fairly well, but I feel like when it's humans, it's like, bleh, but that's just me.
All right. No,
also because I've seen them, I've
Good
literally
point.
seen their faces with the blue screen of death, like, and I've been like, okay, this doesn't work. Like, you know, there's no B mode. It's weird to have a thing that there's no B mode for. You cannot B mode these faces.
That's true.
And that's what I think. I mean, when a ride's that hot and they can't take it down. So you do end up, I had to watch her body not move, Elsa's body not move. It was busted, but her face shift on her head to match the motions. And it was the creepiest thing I've ever seen. I mean, it was, bleh. So you had Uncanny Valley and nose and eyes shifting on a face. Christ, it was rough.
I want to see that.
Oh boy. So we're just complaining over here. There's no news beyond the fact that the video is released, but it's gorgeous and yeah. So
check it out.
Check it out, y'all. Dave. We have some Disney company news.
Yeah, we do.
This is a long episode, folks. There's a chunk of news this week. So
these will go pretty quickly. The business stuff is
yeah. I'm the Bob. We'll talk about the Bob Weeks news in a minute. I basically just want to talk about Gensler, but go ahead, tell us about the news and we'll get moving.
So Bob Weiss, who who just recently retired from the Walt Disney Company, he was executive at Imagineering for many years and responsible for a lot of your favorite attractions dating back 20, 30, almost, I think he was there 30-ish years, maybe more.
Been a long time.
A long time. I don't know him, but I met him a couple times. I'm a big fan of his work, so he's a good guy. Announced that he's joining Gensler, which is a giant global architecture and design firm.
This is what I want to talk about more than Bob, which is,
okay,
from your perspective, what the hell is Gensler? Because Gensler has now come up multiple times, because we also have is it the current president of Imagineering came from Gensler? It's like a switch.
Came from Gensler, right?
It's like we did a Bridge of Spies. We did a switch out.
It was like a switcheroo.
So why is Gensler all of a sudden so? And then of course people complained about Gensler when it came to to the Carousel coffee shop. So what is it about Gensler that people love? What is it about they hate? Why is Gensler so hot right now?
What is the tea, Dave?
Well, the tea is that they're just a giant, very well-regarded architecture firm, and they have worked with Disney for decades on hotels and corporate offices, and yes, some things in the parks, but not like attractions, right? But planning of spaces and master planning and planning of places like, Disney Springs. There's a side of this world that is not. There's a side of Imagineering, a huge side of Imagineering that has nothing to do with rock work and beautiful, colorful set work. It is about space planning and moving people around a space and architecture. And, it's very easy to go, ugh, architects, they don't get it. And it's like, I'm sorry, I've worked in the industry long enough. You make friends with the architect because they can help you, and I think actually this is a great thing. I think it's wonderful that Bob's there, because having someone with his experience, whether as his position is, he's the global immersive experience design leader. So he's going to be, and that doesn't always mean theme parks. It's probably going to mean, of course, probably resorts and things, but also things like children's hospitals, and libraries and university campuses about, and it's not we're gonna turn any of those things into theme parks, but I worked on projects like that at Thinkwell that were not necessarily entertainment spaces, but what is the guest experience here? What are the emotions you want them to feel? And that has as much to do with space and planning and architecture as it does with animatronics and soundtracks and special effects.
100%.
So it's very easy to look at a giant global company like Gensler and kind of roll your eyes, but they are a force to be reckoned with. And love or hate them or any other architecture firm, they really are literally and figuratively the backbone of a lot of what these projects are.
Sure.
And so the reason you're hearing a lot of them is just because they've spent so many years working with Disney, and now all of that sort of coming to light. Disney used to keep their vendors and their subcontractors very, very quiet, right? You weren't actually allowed to talk about that stuff if you're one of those companies. But with a company like Gensler, it doesn't matter. So it's a relationship they fostered for a long time. He probably got to know them working with them on Disney projects, and I think it's a good thing. In the grand scheme of things, I think it's a great thing.
It's interesting. Recently, Joe Rohde said in an interview that he thinks the next generation of Imagineers, or at least who will become Imagineers, need to realize that theme parks might not be a full-time, or either a full-time gig or be a what's the term he used? Your only gig, I guess is the way he put it.
It never has been. It never has been. And the people at Imagineering were lucky for that because it was a walled garden, but it is a boom and bust industry. I have worked and been laid off multiple times in 30 years. And COVID, of course, put me in a slightly different direction altogether. But each would always tell people want to get this industry, you know what? Go work in a museum. Go work at a local theater. Learn other industries that cater to people and are entertainment based or at least venue based, and learn that too, because it's just all the companies are casting a wider net. Thinkwell, where I used to work, does a lot of stuff that has nothing to do with theme parks and always has, but even more of it now. Yeah. So if you think that the days of coming out of CalArts and working at Imagineering for 30 or 40 years is long gone.
Yeah.
And that's been gone a long time. So if you are interested in this industry, if you hyper focus on just theme parks, we will never hire you. I mean, I've been blunt with people about that. Like, their portfolio is nothing but theme parks. All they talk about is theme parks. I'm like, when was the last time you went to a fine art museum?
Yeah.
When was the last time you went to a 4-star restaurant or an upscale hotel? Tell me about your last visit to see a play, right? And a lot of times they'd say, oh, they don't do those things. Well, you need to.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing, is immersive media is a huge, I mean, I'm probably going to be researching and forming some variation of a class at some point on immersive media, and I would love to teach a theme park class, but honestly, like, theme parks are an aspect of immersive media, which includes AR and virtual reality and interactive theater, and it just, the list goes on and on. So it's very interesting. Let's talk about except for people that are creative and win and keep going forward, let's talk about someone who falls up the whole time.
Oh boy, Jeff Morrell. Jeff Morrell, who's the executive, our buddy Jeff, who did less than 4 months of work for Disney in 2022. He was the guy that leaked a photo from the load station of Cosmic Rewind, and he shouldn't have. He was the public relations officer,
yes,
right?
He was
like
our very own Scaramucci. He's our Scaramucci.
Like communications, I think.
Director of
communications.
He's a vibe.
He is a vibe.
He's a vibe.
He is a vibe.
He's a Bush administration vibe is what he is.
Yeah.
Like, he's just vibing.
He came from BP, right? One of the big oil companies.
Yeah, he went from BP to Bush to like other things than Disney. So
before we get into the meat of it, can I just tell you, when I got to his picture, what scared me the most? He's a year older than me.
Oh, Lord.
I don't look that old, do I? Because he looks real old.
No.
Oh my.
Anyway.
Okay, not saying that like Bob Iger is old, but like, did y'all know he was like 70?
That's what he looks great.
Yeah,
he looks
that's what being a
Iger's
millionaire.
Well, you know my theory.
Drinks the blood of children. Is that what you're?
Allegedly.
My theory is when you're white and not problematic, you age better.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. It's true.
It's true. But he's also a millionaire who can eat properly and his schedule can have time for tennis and working. Right. Evidently, he's an athlete. Like he works out all the time. He looks it. He looks. Yeah. I want to be. I want to look that good. Yeah.
Jeff Morrell likes
Jeff,
steak.
Back to Jeff Morrell.
Yeah.
Jeff Morrell likes his steak. First of all, probably likes his steak well done with ketchup. So that's just my. I know, gross. This man, for 4 months of work in 2022, when you take into account his salary plus stock options plus his golden parachute when they had to let him go because they had to fulfill the contract anyway, he made for the 4 months of work, he made $120,000 a day. Let me say that again.
So fucking
$120,000 a day.
Sounds about right.
Sounds about right.
That's insane, though.
Yeah, it's
and
insane.
4 months.
That's
what
pennies.
is the math on that? Hold on.
Right, like someone do the math.
Well, and it's things like that. Last week or week before, when we were talking about Nelson Peltz and one of the activist investors, right? This is the kind of shit he's talking about.
It's like $14 million.
Yeah,
a day.
No.
Total.
120,000 a day.
Lord.
120,000 a day, 4 months, $14 million.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's out of control, and capitalism gonna capitalism.
Don't you make me agree with Nelson Peltz. Don't you dare.
Don't you make me do that, Dave. I can't do that because he sucks.
Yeah.
He owns Wendy's, and I hate him for that.
He owns what?
Wendy's.
Yeah.
Right.
Sorry,
I just had a Frosty for dessert tonight.
I'm very confused about what Wendy's is. Sorry. Wendy's.
No, we have Wendy's out here.
We have Wendy's out here. I just don't go. Like,
Frosties.
Oh, bougie.
Frosties, baby.
Like,
no, it's like,
excuse the hell out
to
of
me, Wendy's is like in the same caliber as like a Burger King, and I would never step foot in a Burger King.
What's
I'll go to a Wendy's before I go to Burger King.
Yeah, Wendy's is like top tier.
Wendy's is top tier, really?
Baked potato, chili, and a Frosty. That's like what you can get there. You can't get anywhere else. So good.
I live next to a Wendy's. I'm gonna go. I'll go.
Do it.
Yeah, get the fries, girl. The fries, they stepped their game up.
Yeah, we're talking like Burger King's low, and then I actually like Burger King more than like McDonald's, to be honest. But like Wendy's is like the best of the fast food chain.
Really?
That's not In-N-Out.
Wendy's and Carl's. Wendy's and Carl's.
Yeah,
I love Carl's.
Hardee's for you guys though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never had. We don't have Hardee's here.
No, it's not bad. Pretty good.
I like it.
Anyway, fuck Jeff Morrell for making that much money and doing shit all.
What's Jeffrey doing now?
He doing now?
He is. He joined a company called Teneo, which is a global CEO advisory firm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which means they advise CEOs of other companies of how to run their company.
Yeah, that's what he's doing now.
That's what he's doing now.
He's joining as global strategy and communications for the CEO company.
Who hired him?
I mean,
it's they're a huge global. They're one of those big companies that it's hard to tell what they do unless you're a multi-million-dollar company, because they get hired all the time to help restructure and.
But all of their
advise.
All of their direct deposits for employees go directly to the Cayman Islands, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. All right.
Let's go to some more positive news, maybe. I don't know. Dave, you're the one that has to determine this.
Is it my call? Okay, so I'm for the two people out there who don't know that I have a gigantic boner for all things Tron. Since I was 12, I have adored Tron and everything it is about, and I am for the user, baby. I loved Legacy, warts and all. I've ridden the coaster in Shanghai. If I had to pick my fandom as a kid from childhood on, it would be Tron. It wouldn't be Star Wars. This was as important to me because it came out when I was 12 and I had a Commodore 64 computer and a Atari 2600. Computers were like my second language, and it was new. Like I remember sitting to watch Tron in the theater with my dad, and they used language like users and programs, and my dad would lean over and ask me, what are they talking about? And I'd be like, shh, this is for me, stop it. So I'm a massive Tron fan, and I'm very interested in any sequels. The announcement today was that Joaquin Roning, I guess is how you pronounce his name, that he's in talks to direct the third one, which is tentatively titled Tron Ares, and it's starring Jared Leto.
Oh, his nasty ass! I can't stand
Let
him.
me can we
like,
Dr.
what
Michael
is the
Morbius
chokehold that
himself.
they have? He has something on the Walt Disney Company, because what the fuck is going on?
I don't know.
Yeah, they got something. Do we have like cricket sound effects so you can put after I say Jared Leto, it's just crickets?
You just want me to make more editing work for me.
Anyway, so as a giant Tron fan, this is a textbook definition of good news, bad news. So good news. I am up for anything on the grid. I will see it. I will be there opening night, like no question. Joaquin Ronning did the fifth Pirates film.
Yeah.
The one with Dead Men Tell No Tales, which is not good.
It's competently made, and the script is horrible, but it's competent.
It's competently made. It looks pretty. The action sequences are pretty great, but yeah, the script is ridiculous. There's too much going on. There's too many characters. It's horrid. And then he also did Maleficent, Mistress of Evil, which
I did not like.
I didn't either. I kind of like the first one, but the second one just did not. Like, hey, Angie, good for you. I love that you found a character you love.
Angie.
She is in her bag, and I respect that for her.
Yeah, good for her.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so from a director standpoint,
people. Like she needs the money. It's fine.
From my friends in the industry say that this director is basically a studio puppet.
Yeah.
That the reason he was hired is he's a yes man. Okay. When you look through his filmography, there's no particular signature style or voice, really. He did a really what was his first film? It was Out on the Water. I forget Kon-Tiki, what's it called? I think.
Oh, he did Kon-Tiki? Anyway, I remember Kon-Tiki. Yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah. It was interesting, right? And I think that's why he got hired for Pirates, because it's had, So I'm not thrilled about that directorial choice, but the guy directed Legacy was a first-time director. The guy who directed the first Tron was a first-time director. So I got no horse in that race. If he's competent, then okay, and that really depends on the script, which I know nothing about the sequel idea. And then you have Jared Leto.
Nasty.
I do not have the Fire of a Thousand Suns hate for Jared Leto that a lot of the internet seems to have. I don't like him very much, and I actually understand why people don't like him. And it's mainly about his cult of personality more so than his performances.
He definitely did something with little girls, but we ain't gonna go there.
Yeah, he's a little weird.
And his band was huge, and then that band basically became the Jared Leto show. And he's there's bad stories about him on sets about how method he is, and he's not really method. He thinks he is, but I can't. I wasn't there, so I don't have all I can go off is his performances.
But Dave, you've been to Super Mario Land. You know exactly his performances. I've seen House of Gucci. It's this.
House of Gucci was. That movie was trash, but I loved it. It's trash, but I love it.
Oh my gosh.
It's great.
That movie has like traumatized my movie going experience.
I haven't finished it yet.
It's traumatized me.
It's so good.
I mean, Morbius was awful. He was the weak link in the Blade Runner sequel. I loved the design for his Joker. I didn't mind the look, but I did not like his performance at all. So I don't know.
If he's a bad guy or something, maybe. I don't know. I don't know what the plan is, so I don't know.
No, I don't think he knows what the plan is.
It's supposed to start shooting this August in Vancouver, so I'm sure we will hear more.
I mean, just contact Garrett Hedlund would do it for $5. Just give him a shout, Disney.
Yeah, sure.
Is it Olivia Wilde? Was Olivia Wilde the other person in Legacy?
Yes, and she was Cora, and she was really good. They should bring her back. I hope they do, actually.
Yeah,
she was great. She's the link to the real world at the end of Legacy, and evidently Joe Kosinski's he's the guy who directed the first one, directed the now Oscar-nominated Top Gun Maverick.
Yes,
he's actually a really great director, I think, and a great visual director. And his sequel treatment was bringing the game grid out into the real world somehow. And I think that that Quora is that, because they, in a Legacy, there's this like matter gun that draws you back into the real world after you've been on the grid. Evidently, she got out with him. So, okay, that means anything on the grid can be out in the real world. What powers do they have? What can they do that humans can't? That's a fun thing to explore. But I don't know if Ares is going to do that, because I don't know if it's Joe Kaczynski's treatment or not.
Yeah, it feels
same
like
producer though, so it might be.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see. I mean,
we'll see.
Do it, whatever. I mean, you know, give me a Black Hole reboot while you're at it. I just like, if we're gonna drudge up Disney properties, let's do it.
Yes.
Okay. So let's go to Beware Our Guest. We have some really interesting ones this week, folks. Let's begin with man loses gun at Walt Disney World, claims it was stolen by cast members.
Again?
So a man, this is better. A man was staying at Boardwalk during Labor Day, and he returned home on September 4th and realized his black Ruger LCP Max 380 auto handgun was missing from his carry bag. So this is grand theft. He blames the CMs. He says that the last time he saw it was when he gave the bag to the bellhop. He's not supposed to have that gun there anyway. But yeah, so we just got people, you know.
I mean, okay.
I don't like to think about how many people in the park. I'm not worried, but like when you're in a resort, you're like, man, how many people are packing at this resort? Like, you just don't know.
In Florida, I feel like they all are packing.
It's wild.
I mean,
man.
It's Florida.
Yeah, but this man's staying at Boardwalk. He probably isn't even from Florida, but who knows?
That's like, yeah, why are you, I don't know, maybe he drove there or something, but like, why would you bring your, like, what's the purpose?
Right, like
who
what
are
is
you
the
fighting in
reasoning?
Disney World? Like, I don't get it.
Like, who are you in fear of that you think they're gonna find you at the boardwalk at fucking Disney World?
Well, we already know you can get caught by police who are also on vacation. If you remember that Animal Kingdom story.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh well. I mean, you know, it's
go ahead, Dave.
Gun culture. We can't answer any of those questions we just asked, other than saying, gun culture.
Yeah.
Yep.
Speaking of a good grift, Jeff Morrell should get into this too. He likes grifting money. Disney Springs gas station has more than $2,000 stolen when an employee falls for a telephone scam at 3 a.m. Which I feel really bad for this person, but I also can't fathom how you get this far along. Basically, the way it works is the person, there was a person who phoned at 3 a.m. at the morning, the gas station, and said they were from corporate. And there was a FedEx rush delivery of an upcoming inspection that was going to happen. And told this to Eric 30. We don't know anything else about Eric. So Eric wrote down the invoice numbers and tracking numbers of the note the law enforcement found later. So he wrote the stuff down. The voice also instructed Eric to send a picture of the fire extinguisher to make sure it was still valid. So he made him go through all these little things of like, well, okay, we got to make sure this works. We got to make sure that works. And then he said, and this is where it gets crazy. Eric first attempted to use his own part. So the guy said he needed to give the money. Let's see here. The voice said that they needed money. Again, this was an emergency from the Speedway company at 3 a.m. So Eric first attempted to use his own partner's Federal Credit Union credit card to pay the Mexican bank account. which of course his bank didn't allow happen, right? Because the card's like, no, not at 3 a.m. And then the suspect then tells Eric that he needs to leave the store and go towards the nearest bit stop, which I don't know what that is, but it's probably some sort of wire transfer service. Eric takes the money from the safe and leaves the Speedway unattended at Disney Springs. I know it's 3 a.m, but unattended. And then the suspect said he would have to let's see, what did he say? He said the suspect said he would have local law enforcement monitor the store while he was away. Maybe he did. I don't know. Consequently, as Eric leaves, an Orange County deputy sheriff walks into the unattended store. So he didn't even lock it. And according to the deputy's call log, he remained on a check at the store from 3:58 to 5:30. So he was there for like an hour and a half. I don't know if it's because he got asked to or because like he walked into an empty speedway in the middle of Disney Springs. So Eric then abandoned the store and drove to another gas station in Apopka, where he found a Bitcoin ATM and he deposited 2,000 of the store's money. And then it says it was too late to get, this is a WWNT article, it was too late to get the money back when Eric realized the caller on the phone wasn't a Speedway supervisor and law enforcement had been notified. You know what? You kind of deserve to get fired.
You kind
I
of
was just gonna
deserve
say,
that.
yeah.
Like, come on, bruh.
Like if you're this, and I don't look, God bless you, dude. I'm not against you here. I get it's 3 a.m. I get it. It's weird. But like, first of all, I didn't
Context
know.
clues. My God.
But I
Common
didn't know that
sense.
there's only one person. I've been to the Speedway many times. It's strange to me there's only one person at 3 a.m. and the doors aren't already like locked and you can get gas. Like it's just strange to be open, period. There's not really hotels around there. Like there's nothing. There are hotels around, but no one's getting gas at 3 a.m. So I don't know. I don't, this is one of those things where you're like, either you're the stupidest man on earth or you're in on it. But then also, why would you get fired for $2,000? So it doesn't make any sense to me.
I
What a
think he's
wild
just
story.
stupid.
I think so. Like, I feel so bad for this guy.
I feel bad for him. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
they said he was transferred from another store, so he's been through the training before. There's obviously going to be training that touches on things like this, I bet.
I would assume, but also
I would
it's
assume.
I would assume.
I'll send you a photo of the fire hydrant. I'll send you a thing. But the moment you're like, take money out of the bank,
Right.
first of all, I'll pay with my credit card. Okay, we'll allow you to do that as Speedway.
God.
No. But
Like,
also,
babe, no.
I just don't know how you leave the store unattended. That's where my brain just won't follow. So anyway, poor guy. I feel bad for him. But hopefully, all the best to you, my man. Let's go to I'm going to just call this a grift. You might disagree, but I'm going to call this a grift. Lawsuit alleges Disneyland cast members laughed at disabled woman before fall that led to her death. So, if you
remember hearing about this.
A family filed a lawsuit against Disneyland in November for wrongful death in violation of the American with Disabilities Act. So apparently someone with disabilities, it looks like, let's see, they visited in August of 21. And this was, I'm trying to find her name, Joanne Aguilar, 66. So she fell while getting out of the Jungle Cruise boat at Disneyland. She died 5 months later due to complications from her injuries, is what the lawsuit says. She did not hit her head in this.
No.
Or anything.
She broke her femur.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, totally. I'm not taking that away from her, but it was not a head injury that could create some sort of clot.
Right.
It was supposedly septic shock, which would not be caused by the fall, but by the surgeries later on.
Yeah.
Right. Which is it's a real stretch.
Well, but they're also saying like emotional distress because the employees were laughing at her,
which doesn't make any sense to me.
None.
But here's my thing: why would they be laughing at her?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not denying that it happens, but
was it bad timing that like was there two employees off to the side that had nothing to do with any of this, cracking jokes with each other, and they just happened to be laughing,
right?
Like,
and that's what I'm thinking.
Well, the other thing is, and sorry, you can speak to this, you're actually not really allowed to help somebody in and out like that.
I was just gonna say that. Yeah.
You're not
training,
allowed to help
if somebody has, no, you're not. If you're an employer, you're not allowed to touch. It's a liability. And but why didn't they have the wheelchair boat in service at that time?
I think, I mean, in terms of the whole liability thing, I can understand, but at the same time, I feel like if you see someone that's struggling, I do think that just like as a human being, you should help
them.
Like you should still kind of step in, and that's
Right.
I remember it being taught as like a case by case basis. It's like it shouldn't be your first instinct, but if you still see them struggling, you should help out.
Right.
And it seemed like this was she took a wrong step and it was a sudden thing. It wasn't like they were really it didn't seem like it was something that was happening for a while. In terms of the laughing, it's hard because at the end of the day, cast members are humans. There are going to be shitty cast members that might have laughed, or it might be the whole scenario of they might have been two cast members to the side that were it might have been totally
or
unrelated.
guests that were laughing at her
yeah, we
or
don't
at
know.
anything else. Yeah,
We
there's
don't
absolutely no
know.
evidence. Yeah,
Exactly.
This
Right,
is like,
ultimately we weren't there, so
Yeah.
right. And the
So
problem
unless they
is
have proof, I don't know.
you can't laugh someone to death no matter what. So there's
Yeah.
there's nothing beyond trying to add some emotional appeal to adding that portion to this. That's why I find it to be an absolute grief.
The only time that I could say that they might have a case is where was the boat that was ADA accessible? Like they should have made her wait
unless she
for
said,
that boat.
unless she did not say she was, wanting
she
to go
needed
through
it.
that. Yeah, like
Yeah.
it's very possible that
But
she
then
just
that's her. Yeah, it's
that's
like
her
Disney
choice.
was saying, it's her own negligence. But at the same time, I think it kind of the onus is on those cast members to be like, also, hey, like we can't let you on. Like
right.
this is just because you say that you can does not mean like it's a liability for us too.
There's a lot of variables to be honest.
Yeah, it really is. It's very strange.
I love Jungle Cruise and I don't want it to go away at all, but I also find the load and unload of Jungle Cruise to be crazy weird.
It's really
it's dangerous.
It's dangerous, it's hard to do, it's super slow. That's why there's always, at least for Walt Disney World, there'll be a 90-minute wait for Jungle Cruise simply because
there have been so many people that have slipped just trying to get out.
Yeah, totally. And I don't have a better answer for this beyond, use some of the technology from Shanghai Pirates and have those boats come right up onto the deck, where it's a little bit over the side and it's solid there. But we're talking massive engineering changes to make those kind of things happen. And
just the cast member's foot isn't cutting it anymore.
Right.
To hold no, it's not cutting it.
No.
Yeah.
So anyway, again, all this is alleged. This is what they're saying. So I'm not making any claim here, but it sounds to me like a classic example of we did this thing, someone got hurt, months later they died, and they're finding some connection in hopes to get money. Congrats, you're going to go to Orange County for court, and Orange County is owned by Disney. So good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck. We do have a question. We have something from the mailbag, ladies and gentlemen. And this is from Tyler Harper. Thanks for writing in, Tyler. Tyler says, congratulations on a year of podcasts. Your perspective. Thank you so much, Tyler. Your perspective and snark are very welcome and enjoyed. I always want to talk theme parks with colleagues, but I fear that I may bore/scare them. So your podcast is definitely a healthy alternative. Keep up the good work. So thank you so much, Tyler, for that. And he has a quick question for us, which I think is really good. And it's one I will be having to deal with very, very soon. And the quick question is, have any of you lived a far distance from theme parks? How did you cope? I live in Western Canada, and the options and opportunities are few and lower quality. So what do you guys think? Have you lived far from theme parks before?
I mean,
I haven't. I mean, yeah, true.
I haven't. I mean, like even when I didn't live in the US and I lived in Abu Dhabi, like we were next to theme parks. Like so even like I've just always been around a theme park. But I would say that it sucks not living sometimes in the East Coast because you guys get a lot of cool stuff at Disney World and your Universal is so much better. So that part I would say sucks.
I mean I lived in Indiana before I moved to Florida, and so I basically only went like once to Disney World, like after my obsession, kind of. I think once or that seems about right. And at least until I was married. So I've been twice before we moved here. And for me, it was always audio, listening to theme park rides, listening to theme park music. So much, in fact, that if you go to my Twitter, you'll find a link to, I don't know, I think it's like literally 40 days worth of audio compiled.
Casual.
Yeah, I totally went obsessive this summer and put it together. But and I'm gonna definitely be using it. And I've had a lot of comments from people who've thanked me for that because they're like, this is how I can experience the parks through the music and through the rides. And honestly, on my commute, I still not like sometimes when I'm having a bad day, we'll throw on, Spider-Man from Universal or Rise of the Resistance or something, just to have 4 minutes that make me happy, So I have a ton of Walt Disney World books as well, and Disney history books on theme parks, and I think a lot of those are going to get cracked more open when I'm feeling that kind of ache in my heart, which I don't have necessarily at the moment still. But so knowledge, audio, those have been my sort of go-to, and thank God for YouTube, because I feel like you can if you find someone that you trust, that's a good person online, like they can go to the parks and you can follow them along, and it can be a good time. So lots of options.
Well, Tyler, next time you're on the west coast of Canada, so Tyler, next time you fly down south to California, Sarah and I will meet up with you.
Yes.
And let's go park it up. You're not that far from California, I would assume. If
there you go.
I'm assuming Vancouver or somewhere in BC, maybe. Let us know.
Yeah.
Hey, friendship.
Yay. Okay, so before we end, I tried something new this week, and we might do it for a couple weeks. We'll see. As you might know, the hot new thing is ChatGPT. ChatGPT, if you don't know, is AI that you basically can tell it to write stuff, and it will write it in. It'll write articles. It'll write things in people's voices. So much, in fact, that. BuzzFeed has recently said they're going to start using ChatGPT for quizzes and stuff.
Are we surprised?
So, yeah, we're all going to be out of a job as writers before too long. But it will be the boutique articles written by humans. But anyway, ChatGPT as of now has not taken over the world, and it's just sort of a fun thing to do. So I asked ChatGPT, I asked it to write me a poem about. And then I gave it a couple items of news that we talked about this week. So I will read to you at the end of episodes a ChatGPT poem of the week. So here's our poem this week. Splash Mountain's closing, a bittersweet goodbye, but new adventures await as Epcot Festival flies by. Painting and sculpture, music and more, a celebration of art that will leave you wanting more. Super Mario World, a new addition to the scene, Universal Studios Hollywood, where fantasy is supreme. Join Mario and friends in a colorful quest to save the Mushroom Kingdom. Put your skills to the test. Though one door closes, another will open. With new experiences, our hearts will be hoping. To explore, to create, to plan, and to see, the magic of Disney and Universal forever will be. So thank you, ChatGPT, for our
that was
poem
so good.
this
It
week.
I was thinking bars all the time.
Jay-Z who?
Yeah,
I know. We need a beat in the background. The next one has to be a rap, Nathan.
I for one salute our robot poet overlords.
Yes.
I don't know about y'all, but
the digital poet laureate
It's so
of
scary, but so
Rat
good.
Castle. It is super scary, and like, we got to start having laws about this kind of shit, like tomorrow. But
you really do.
At the same time, it's
giving iRobot, and I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah, but it also it rhymed more with more, so like, come on.
And open with hopin with it, and actually literally had an apostrophe N.
HOPIN apostrophe. Yeah,
crazy.
Yeah,
you're right though. I'll add a beat next time.
It's trying its best. My God.
Yes, let us white men do the beat.
Yeah,
and
it will be the whitest rap ever. Whiter than Splash Mountain rap, actually.
Zip, yeah.
Oh Lord.
So anyway, with that, Rat Castle is produced by yours truly, Nathan Hartman. And if you haven't already, do it. We've been here a year now. Please subscribe if you haven't, and tell your friends. And then please give us a rating and review. We would love to have that. That's very important to us. It kind of pushes us up on platforms and all sorts of things. You can find out more about us at bit.ly/ratcastle. There are links to some merch we have on TeePublic, and we've got the mailbag. You can leave us a question like Tyler did, all sorts of stuff. So please do that, and thank you for listening to this extra long Supreme episode. We have so much touring stuff, and we're excited for next time. Sarah's going to give us a big old Toontown review. We're very excited. But until all of that, grab your you know what? Hey, Ryan, why don't you grab your belongings and exit to the left?
Oh, God. Help.
foolishness?
What foolishness would you like to see?
Will you get out of here?